Co- Okay, yes, I have started recording now. I have started recording now. All right. So yeah, this is like I was saying, we have created the artboard, and we said the first thing to do when you create your file size or your file size, the first thing to do is you go up to the top panel here, where you see switch workspace. All right. So this is the cursor. This is the mouse. So you just carefully look at it and look at where it is going to. It is going up to this place, and I drop it here. You will see switch workspace, right? So when you see switch workspace, you click down on it and you choose Essentials Classic. All right, so our workspace is going to be Essential Classics. And I remember in class we talked about what workspace is and how it would help us navigate Illustrator better and help our workflow basically. All right. So that being said, we say we have different parts. Illustrator, we have the header, we have the documents, we have the document slide, we have the toolbar, just like you have in Photoshop. You have the panels here on the right. So starting with the toolbar, the first toolbar we have is a selection tool, which is, if you remember the shortcut from Photoshop, it is V. So it is the same thing as here, right? And what you do with your selection tool is you use it to move items or elements in your artboard, right? So let me show you instance of it. So if you use any tool, after using any tool, make sure you go back to the selection tool either in Photoshop or in Illustrator. If you do not go back to the move tool and you are still on that tool you used, if you click again, I would assume you want to make another shape, right? So you have to make sure after creating any shape or any putting any element, you have to go back to the move tool. So this is what the move tool does. You use it to move elements around the artboard. That is the basic function of the move tool, right? So that is for the move tool. The next one now we have the direct selection tool. So the direct selection tool is quite different from the move tool because in the direct selection tool, okay, no, before we go to the direct selection tool, when you look at this, let me scale it up. Let me scale it up a bit so you see what I'm saying. Okay, yeah. So when you look at this box, on the edges you see tiny blue dots. I don't know if you can see them.
Yes, we can.
All right. So on these tiny blue dots, right? We call them anchor points in Illustrator. Let me type it into the we call them anchor points. Yes, we call them anchor points in Illustrator, right? So to use the direct selection tool, you'd be able to select an anchor point individually, right? You know, when we selected the whole box, we had all of these anchor points in blue. Let me select everything again so you see. So you see all of the anchor points, they are in blue when everything is selected, right? But you can use direct selection to that is because you can directly select an anchor point. The shape, the entirety of the shape is made up of four different anchor points. So it's their connectivity that makes the shape. But now with the direct selection tool, which is shortcut A, also in Photoshop shortcut A, you'll be able to select an anchor point directly and edit it, scale it to how you want to do it. But with the shape direct, the move tool, you cannot select an anchor point. You can only select the entire element, right? So you can see the difference with the move tool. When you select the move tool and click on it, the angles are not blue. The angles are white boxes, right? They are also the anchor points, but because you cannot select them individually with the move tool, they are boxes, right? So to select the individual, just see the moment we change these tools from this is we are on V now. You see it is white. The moment we change it to A, you see everything becomes blue, right? And if you select a point, you'll be able to adjust it. You'll be able to adjust it. And with that also, if your project, if you understand this tool, you can use it to create your project and anything you want to do with it, right? So that is that about the move to and the direct move to direct selection to. Excuse me. So the first two, uh, come in. So the let me first two of V. Then the second one is a direct selection to select specific angles or specific anchor points. Right. So we have these tools now. So the next one now we move on to the magic wand tool. So to illustrate how the magic wand tool works, let me delete this, create another shape. Oh, let me delete this, create another shape, change the color. I'm trying to illustrate how the magic wand tool works. Okay, so let's say how the magic wand tool works. Let me, yeah, the magic wand tool, how it works is that when you have, you know, in Illustrator and Photoshop, you can have, you definitely have more than one element in your design, and some elements have some numbers of similarities, right? In Illustrator, it's the same thing. You have more than one element, and it would happen that some element would have quite a number of similarities. So in to select this element, let's say in the case where you want to select these elements that have similarities, right? You know, in Photoshop, you have to go and manually select one after the other. Like you have to hold down Shift, click on this one, click on that one to select everything. But in Illustrator, to select elements that have similarities, what you do is you click on the magic wand tool. You click on the magic wand tool. You select, you click on just one of that element, then it will select the remaining elements that have that same similarity. Let me try and duplicate this one so we'll have plenty of it. Matter of fact, let me even move it outside of this place that we cannot see. Let me move it outside of this place now. So now we want to select this yellow boxes, right? If we were in Photoshop, what we'll do is we'll click one, we'll hold down shift, click, 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 click. You get, so would maybe if we're trying to select five elements, would probably use would go around maybe 5 clicks to do that. So but in Illustrator now we want to select elements that are similar. What we'll do is just use the magic wand tool. When you use the magic wand tool, you just click on just one of that element, it will automatically select the rest of the elements. So now I have, let me just click once. So I have clicked on just one now. You see it has automatically selected all of it. You can see, how do you know it has selected everything is that you see this black one, right? It does not have blue points in between. You see this other ones do not have blue point in it, but you see this yellow ones have blue points in between, right? So that means you have used the magic wand to select elements that have similar qualities or properties. So you use the magic wand to select elements with with similarities in Illustrator, right? So the similarities can differ. It can be elements that have the same stroke weight, it can be elements that have the same color, it can be elements that have the same pattern. You get, as long as you have more than one element that have similarities amongst them, then you can use the magic wand to select them all at once, but by clicking on just one of them. All right, so that actually saves time. So the next one now we have the lasso tool. The lasso tool basically is the same lasso tool with Photoshop, but with the lasso tool, you actually use the lasso tool to you can use it to make selection. Like let's say in an intricate situation where you don't have you cannot select directly. Let's say for instance now we want to select this one. You can just use the lasso tool. You see, you've made selection around just this two. In you may use the magic wand tool or the lasso tool to select multiple. You see, we are making selection around the items we want. Like, let's say we want to select this ones. Let's say we cannot go around this one. We'll just try and do. Okay, we are doing like this, right? So this one also use this one to make selection, and you also use the magic wand to make selection. So now the question now is the lasso tool or the magic wand tool. Which one would you rather use? The magic wand tool or the lasso tool? Which one would you rather use to make your selection?
Magic. I prefer the one too.
I prefer the magic one too.
The magic wand tool because it makes your works faster. You don't have to manually be going around it. All right. So yeah, thank you very much. So the magic wand tool is my go-to also. If I want to make, if I have multiple elements, I have maybe boxes with the same color, and I want to maybe change the color of everything. I'll just click on just one of those boxes, and it will select the rest that have that same color. Right. So that is that on the lasso tool and the magic wand tool. So the next one we have the pen tool. So just like we said, also in Photoshop, there's also the pen tool. So the pen tool, we also use the pen tool to draw shapes, different types of shape, different types of your drawings. Matter of fact, if you want to make drawings, like you have started making drawings, or if you want to make logos, too, there are cases where you may have to use the magic wand tool. All right. So you use the magic wand tool to make shape, different shape. As you are clicking and dropping the anchor points, it will be creating the shapes, right? And you see that I'm dropping the anchor point and it's creating the shape. So by the time I come to where I start from, you see that the edge, just look at the edge of the pencil, you see a circle around it. I guess I should zoom in. Oh yeah, great. Here. So let me delete this thing first. So when you are using the shape tool, when you start making a selection, right, and you want to end it, it will show you a circle around it that signifies that okay, you have come to the end and you're about to close this shape you are making. So let me click. I have clicked here. I want to make a rectangle. I have clicked here. You can choose to go left or right. The choice depends on you. Or these are not things that are standards. You can just choose to go left or right. So I have clicked the first point, this anchor point. I have dropped one, drop another one. Notice that while I'm just clicking and dropping, the pen tool is just like that. There's nothing underneath it, right? I have clicked and drop also. I've clicked and drop. Now, this is not where I actually started, right? This is where I started it. So when I go back here and click on the first place I started, you can see that circle around it. That is telling me that I am about to close the selection I make. In any case, now, like this, I did not close the selection, but you cannot see it because it is a solid fill. If I change it to stroke, this is what I have in stroke. Let me use stroke instead. So I'm creating the same box, but this time I'm using stroke. Now, so you see when I get to the edge, It will show me that I want to close it. Then I close it. So we have two. The first one, I did not close it, right? This is where I stop. This is the last node. This is the last anchor point. Excuse me. This is the last anchor point. But for this one, this is where I stopped here, right? Then for this one, I actually closed it. So when you're making any shape or any selection with your pen tool, it does not even matter how far you go. When you come to the beginning of where you started, the beginning or the beginning, or I don't know how you say it. When you come to the beginning of where you started, you will see this circle that will tell you that you have come to the beginning. And if you click on it, then you want to close this selection you have made. That means you want to make it complete, right? So when you click on it now, everything is complete. You see, right? So that is the pen tool. So I will move on now to the curvature tool. So the next one now is the curvature. It is the pen tool also, but this one you use it more to make circles. You make curved edges than linear edges. But if you have experience, I mean, if you are able to use this normal pen tool, you can make your circle like you can click, drag, right? So see, I'm clicking and dragging. You see, I'm making curved edges. You see, I have come to the end of this one now. It's telling me that I'm about to close this path. So I have clicked it, right? So you see, I use the normal pen tool to make this thing, this curved edges, which, originally the pen tool is just for drawing straight lines, but I can use it to create circles. This was originally what was in Illustrator before. It was just this one. So we were using this one before to create curved edges. But with time, they had to add the curvature tool that makes it easy. So for the curvature, so if I want to create a curved edge, I'll just click one place. I click on another one. If I click one place and click on another one, you see you see the curve, right? It comes out automatically without doing anything. I click one, I click on another one. Then see, I click on another place again. I click here, then I just go back here and Illustrator completes the circle for me, right? So that is that about the curvature too. So that one also you may need to use it in situations where you want to create logo or character drawing. That means you want to draw. That means if you are into drawing and maybe you want to start drawing or things like that. All right, so that's that about it. The curvature too. So far we covered the move to the direct selection to the magic wand tool, the lasso tool, the pen tool, then the curvature tool. All right, the curvature tool is also the pen tool, but they call it the curvature tool because it curves. So the next one we have T. Without telling, the T basically is for text. So if you have T, just like Photoshop, you see the similarities, right? So we have learned it in Photoshop and we have it here. So you just select T or you click on T as a shortcut. You just tap once to create your text. All right. So this is our text, and because you have selected your workspace to be um, classic essentials, you have your text properties here. You have the typography or the font size, the name. You have the size here. You have the leading and so on and so forth. All right. So text is as straightforward as you know it. Nothing too much about it. And the next one we have the line segment to the arc to the spiral to. Okay, quite frankly, I have just used only the line to and the arc to so far because maybe my project does not really um, require me using the rest. All right, but so if in any case, just like we said, the tool you use depends on the goal of your project and what you're trying to achieve. But it is also important to just know how they work. So the line two, just like the line two is, we know what line two does. So you just use it and draw your line. That. So but the issue now is that if I draw this line, right, I click on it, you cannot see it. That is because you see the fill is cancelled and the stroke also is cancelled. I mean, if you look up here, it's the same thing. If you look down here, also it's the same thing. The fill is cancelled, the stroke is cancelled. So let's add stroke to it. So you can just maybe click. If I click on this one, I have added stroke to it. You can see that the place of the stroke has actually changed to a black stroke. This one has changed to a black stroke. So let me see if I add filter.
Sorry, please, can you go back? I didn't see what you did there on the line two. How to add the stroke.
Okay, okay. We have deleted the line 2 now. We are on the line 2. So you select the line 2. To draw a straight line, you have to hold down shift, right? When you hold down shift, we have drawn a straight line. Okay, so now we have a line 2 with stroke already. But in a case where you drew the line 2 and there was no stroke on it, you just drew it and you saw this line. What you just do is you either come to this stroke panel here, this stroke panel here, or even this stroke panel. You have like three places pointing you to where you want to do. So you may not miss. All right. So I'll just come to this stroke place. I click on stroke. As you can see, the stroke is cancelled. But if I click on it, I choose black. All right. So after choosing black now, on this place, you can see I have 1 point. Then my opacity. We all know what opacity is. It's to reduce or increase intensity. So the stroke weight now, this is the stroke weight. This is the 1 point that it you use it to increase the weight of the stroke of how heavy or how thin you want the stroke to be. So now we have the stroke to be on 1 point. This is how thin it is. Let me duplicate it. So we increase this one to, let's take it to about 10 points. All right. So you can see the difference between the two strokes. The first stroke here is 1 point. So for any element you click on this artboard, the moment you click on the element on this panel, the properties related to that element or the things you can do to that element will show up in this place. So quite frankly, you don't have to start going anywhere to look for things to do. You see what you want to do on this place. So like we click on this stroke now, the first thing we see that okay, it is 1 point and it is 100% opacity. If I click on this other stroke, you see the property on this place will change immediately to 10 points, right? So this is very, very handy. All right. So that is about the stroke. Then if you want to use the arc tool, you select the arc tool, just like the way arc is. Select the arc tool and you create your arc. All right. So you see that when I created the arc, it automatically became 10 points. You can see it on the stroke panel that it is 10 points. So Illustrator actually gives your element or your shape the last effect, the effect of the last element you did. This was the last one we did, 10, right? So let's say we change this arc to, let's change it to 5, right? Let's change it to 5. Then let's go back and create the stroke. You see, this this is the last element we created before. This is we created this arc before we created this one. Then for this arc, we give it a stroke weight of 5 points. That means we want it to be thick with 5 points. So this was the last thing we created, and we clicked out on it and clicked on the stroke to create the stroke. So the stroke by default inherited what this one had. All right, so you have to take note of that. So if you create an element and give it an effect or anything you give it, the next element you are creating will take the effects of the previous one you created. All right, so it is just the way Illustrator is programmed. All right, so we've created this so far. I don't know, but why is this thing looking fine in my eye? These jargons I have on this artboard. All right, so that is about the line tool, the arc tool, the spiral tool. You can just use it to create spiral. You see, this is what a spiral is, and by default, it has 5 points just because the previous element you created also had this thing. So if your project requires using any of these two, then why not go ahead and use them? All right. So our next um, thing is the shape tool. Yeah. So the shape tool now, let me click down on the side. So the shape tool, we have varieties of shape. We have the rectangle, the rounded edge, the ellipse tool, the polygon, the star, then the flare tool. So the flare tool, don't really use it much, but let me click it and see. Just like it says, the flare. Remember sun flare? This is sun flare for effect, like sun glue, things like that. So you have it in Illustrator as a vector that I can create. So like I mentioned, if your project requires it, please go ahead and use it. But if not, and there's no need for it, just let it be. All right. So that's that about the flare tool. So let's go back to the main tools. So the main tool, we have the rectangle, the rounded edge rectangle, the ellipse tool, the polygon, the shape tool. And I believe so far, because we have used Photoshop, then plenty of us, if not all of us, know how to create shape. All right. So it's the same thing. If I click on the shape tool, I click on the rectangle tool, then I want to create a shape that is balanced on both sides. I'll just hold down shift while creating the shape. So now I have created the shape now. But the problem is there is no fill or stroke to it. And how you can tell is you can even see that okay, there's nothing inside. Though it may be white, but yeah, it can be white, right? If it is white, you will not still be able to see. But how you can tell there's no fill or stroke to it is you look at this panel, you see it is cancelled. This one is cancelled. Even if it is this place your eye goes to first, they are both cancelled. And in fact, if it is this place your eye come to, then you can see they are both cancelled. So what you want to do is you just either click here. If it is the shape if it is fill you want to add, you click here inside. You have changed it, right? In this place, you have to just click on the color down here. And if you want to change the color of it, you can double click inside of this box here. Then you select your color manually, right? So we have a new color. And if you want to add stroke to it, the best place I use really is this place, because if I want to add stroke to it, I would really like to give it the point size, I mean the weight, right? And this one on this place, you don't really have the weight on this place. So the best place I use for the stroke is this place or this top panel here. This top panel here, you can see where my mouse is pointing at. This place or this place. So let's say I want to give it a stroke now. I click on the stroke. Sorry, I just click on the stroke, add this one, and if I click out, you can see it has a black stroke. And you can see even this one. You can see this one on top, then the black under. So that is the stroke and the fill. All right. So I just want to increase the fill. Let me say I increase the fill to 10. So I have increased the excuse me, I have increased the fill to the stroke to 10. All right. So we have that one. Then if we want to do the rounded edge rectangle, the ellipse tool, you can also do them because you have knowledge of them from Photoshop, right? So the next one now is the brush tool, the paintbrush tool. Okay, excuse me, let me create a new outboard. So yes, we have the paintbrush tool. I think the shortcut for the paintbrush tool is B, just like Photoshop.
Sorry, I didn't see how you created a new artboard.
Okay. Sorry. So come to your right hand, the right panel you have. You have layers, you have asset export, then you have artboards, right? So when you click on artboard, the first artboard is this one that we have worked on, right? Let me delete this one. So this is what we have. This is what we have, just one artboard. Now we want to create another artboard. So while you're on the artboard panel, you see down here plus icon, right? New artboard automatically. So if I click on it, I have a new artboard. All right, so that's the way that one is. So imagine in Illustrator now, you know, in Photoshop, the moment you create another, you can actually create another artboard. I think I remember we spoke about creating different artboards in Photoshop. But in Photoshop, the moment you create another artboard, it will create like a new group for you, like a new group and a new layer. But the thing about Illustrator is that you can do you can have 10 artboards and have all of your elements under one layer. Like let me draw on this artboard now. You can see this is a new artboard, right? This is a new artboard. But in here we have just one layer. If we click down on this layer now, you now see everything that we've been doing inside this one layer. So you can just have different adboards to just have segments of what you do, but also you can just choose to, you can create a new layer if you want. You can also create a new layer if you want. If you are not comfortable with working with one layer with everything, you can create new layer for new elements you are dropping. But just know Illustrator automatically creates your elements under one layer for you. So if you want to create a new layer, just the same way we create in Photoshop, you just click on create new layer. All right. So I think Illustrator actually gives more freedom
How do
to.
you create the new layer, sir?
How did I create a new layer?
Mm,
This this is layer. This is layers panel, right? This is layers panel. Then this plus sign is the same thing with Photoshop. You don't have to get it confused or sweat it. It's the same thing with Photoshop. This one, this plus icon. The moment you see plus icon, it means add, right? I am on the layers panel. This is the layer panel. This is the one that is active. So if I click create new, you see I have layer 2 on it. No, nothing big about it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing you are used to in Photoshop. But the difference with Illustrator is just that if you drop a new layer in Photoshop, if you drop a new element in Photoshop, you have a new layer. But in Illustrator, if you drop a new element in Illustrator, everything can still be under one layer until or unless you separate it, right? So that's that. So okay. Before we move on to the brush tool, let me quickly go over the corner radius, the rounding of the corners, right? So when you create a what do you call this now? A box. When you create a box, yeah, you would see 4 circles. Let me zoom in. So to zoom in, yeah, one of the shortcuts to zoom in without using the Control Z. I mean, I've been zooming in without using Z. Is I hold down Alt, then the what's this thing called? This move to in the middle of your mouse. Forgotten what you call it. If you are using a mouse, if you are using a mouse, if you hold down Alt, then you rotate on that thing in the middle of your mouse. You hold down Alt. So that is how I zoom. Honestly, that's how I zoom.
is it
So
the
I just
strobe?
yeah, robot,
Is it the
robot. Okay, scroll
strobe button?
button. Yes. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. So I hold down Alt, then I use the scroll button to zoom in and out. I think this it works also in Photoshop. Yes, it works also in Photoshop. Without, if you want to zoom, instead of going to this place, going to click. I just use the I just hold down Alt. I use the scroll button, and you can see I can scroll. I can zoom out, zoom all in, and remember in in Photoshop we said if you want to pan around, you want to use this H to. You have to click on H and be able to pan, be able to move everything, right? So you can choose to. These are shortcuts really that would help your productivity and workflow. This one now for this panning tool, you can, I am on the V2, which is the move tool, but I want to use this tool now. I hold down the space bar. If I hold down the space bar, then I'll right click and drag while holding down on the space bar. This also works in Photoshop. So sometimes that is why it is important to know shortcuts too. So if I want to pan around, that means I want to move around, I want to see this one because it is blocked. Let's say we have this one now. We want to move to the next one. We are this arrow shows us that we are on the move to. So to do this, to move around to this next one, we can just hold down the space bar. You see the hand to immediately you see the hand to you know that okay, this is for moving. So I'm holding down space bar, then I'll right click and drag. Matter of fact, when you hold down the space bar, you only see the hand open. But when you right click, you see like it looks like it is grabbing the artboard, right? So yes, just grab it and move, grab and move. All right. So that is shortcut of for zooming and panning around or moving around. So it is also applicable in Photoshop, right? So you can use that. So yeah, as I was saying, you have this edges. So what these edges work for really? They are called the corner radius 2, just the corner 2 or corner radius 2. So I have all of this in selected, right? You can see the move to, which is the V. It has us this in select. It has the move to and it has this little wavy rectangle selected. It is just telling you that you're inside of the rectangle. But the moment I place the move to on the edge of this circle, this tiny, tiny node, you see them. Let me zoom in. Okay. Yeah. No, I think it's this. Okay. Yeah. So the moment I put it here, you see it become curved. I don't know if you can see it. If you are following along with this tutorial, that means if you created the shape, right, you'll be able to um, test it and see yourself that this is what we're talking about. So if you have created your rectangle and everything is still selected, when you move your move to the edge of it, you see it become round, right? When you click and drag inside, you can turn your sharp edge rectangle to rounded edge. But now that you have done this, you've actually done it for everything. Remember in Photoshop, how we usually do this is we'd go to the properties panel, then would unlink the angles, then we'll start manually putting in the numbers. That's how we do it in Photoshop. But in Illustrator now, this I think the feature was actually taken for Illustrator, then it was placed in Photoshop. So in recent versions of Photoshop, I think 2022 or 23, you have the same thing in there. That way you'll be able to round the edge of your shapes by using the anchor point tool. All right. So now do we want to do just one angle. If you select everything, right? If you select all of your shape, to know all of your shape is selected, you know you have this nodes around them. So now we've selected everything, and if you look at this circles carefully, you see they are of the same color. You have them, you have this blue going around the outside, you have white, then you have this tiny blue inside. You see they're of the same color. And if you drag one of them, it would affect everything. Remember the principle of similarities. Elements that have the same color or elements that are similar, that look similar, are perceived to have the same function. So now, because these circles now they are of the same color, that means they are similar. If I drag on one of them, it will affect everything, right? So now I actually want to round just one corner, not everything. So to do this now, while your box is selected, you have to come and manually click on one of them. So now that I have clicked on one of them, if you look carefully, you will see that this one, the color has quite changed, and it is not the same as this one, and this one. If you are following along and you are doing this activity as we are doing it, you would testify that the color has changed, right? So now that this one has changed, now, if I drag this one, this is the only one that changes. Let me go back. Let me click out. So I have this rounded edge, this sharp edge box. I click on it. So the moment I click on it, I notice that all these circles inside are the same. And I know if I see them the same, if I drag any one of them, it will affect everything, right? So in Illustrator, you don't have to unlink anything. What you just do, you just come and select the angle itself, the angle you want. You see, say you select this angle. The moment you select the angle, you see the color will change from the others, right? Then you'll be able to do your rounded edge effect to it. So that is that about this one.
Is it the same also with Photoshop?
Yeah, I was saying in previous version of Photoshop is not the same. In previous version of Photoshop, you have to go to the properties panel where you see four angles. So you will link one, you unlink one, the long process like that. but in Illustrator it is different.
The Photoshop I'm using have this the same thing with this one.
Yeah, very good. In Photoshop now, I don't know the version. Maybe you're using 22 or 2023. If your
2020.
Photoshop, very good. If your Photoshop is very recent, like 22 or 23, you'd have the same thing you have in Illustrator in Photoshop. So you don't have any problem in using it. So you can go ahead and do that. So the next one we say we'll talk about the brush tool. All right. So the brush tool, just like the name implies, use it to brush, but it's looking like a stroke. But it is the brush tool because see this one now you can even use this one to do your signature. Say you have brush tool, just do, let's say this is our signature. This is just for illustration, all right. So we have the brush tool, right? If you even do the brush tool, you can increase the stroke weight of the brush tool itself. Let's say we increase it to 10. See our brush tool. And if you want to change the color of the brush, you can come here and change it. So remember that for any tool you use or any tool you choose to use, it depends on the goal of your project or what you're trying to achieve or your project itself, right? So this is the brush tool to use it. Use it for varieties of things like you want to, if you are drawing, you may use it. If you are making some design like typography, right? Okay. Let's say we want a font, right? Let's say you want the font and you cannot download it and you need the font, like let's say handwritten font or playful font. So let me use this brush to and write. Um, let me write. All right. So let's say you are creating a logo now and you don't want to use oh excuse me, you don't want to use regular fonts that are out there because I mean the purpose of logos is the ability for them to be able to stand out and stand different from another person's logo, another brand's logo. So in any case where you are creating a logo now and you want to use you don't want to use any of the typeface or any of the fonts that are out there, you may decide to use a brush to create your own font, just like the way we wrote this one. So, but then you edit them, you add maybe weight to them. You see, we have added weight to this one, and it is so thick. So you can use that one for the sketch. Let me scale this down and drop it here. All right. So that's that for the brush tool. So now the next one we have the shaper tool. So the shaper tool now, yeah, is similar to your shape tool. But the difference between the shaper tool and this one is that you can draw, you can just do, like let's say you want to, this is basically for people that cannot draw or you've forgotten that there is, for maybe for any reason whatsoever, you forgot that there is a shaper, there is a shape tool. So let's say you want to draw a rectangle. The shaper tool will allow you do freestyle drawing and it will automatically convert it to the shape it perceives it to look like. This is what we drew. Let me try and draw circle. Like I'm not drawing it well, right? Oh, excuse me. I'm not drawing it well, but the shaper tool is creating it for me. You see? This is just like freehand drawing, but the shaper tool will help you convert it to actual shape that it perceives it to be. Oh, sorry. Shaper to change it to the actual shape it perceives it to be. So this one can come handy. I don't know. Okay, this one can come in handy because you may want to draw shape too, and this is maybe the first thing your hand hits. Shortcut is Shift N, right? So you may want to like draw anything. And the thing about this one is that it actually gives good size. Let me see, does it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't give proportionate sizes. It doesn't. It is only when you use the normal shape tool and hold down shift that you have equal sizes on equal size. All right, so that is that about the shaper tool. So you use the shaper to just do your freehand sketching. Let me see if I can ever draw something else aside shape. Let me see. Let's see. I have. Let me just draw something weird. If it's a do it. Oh, let me draw something weird. This is like flat, right? It is not doing it. Apparently, now I'm thinking the shaper tool basically is just to draw shapes, just basic shapes. Nah, it is not. Let me see this one. If it will do it. It didn't. So I think it's just to draw basic shapes, right? That is what the shaper tool does. It gives you you'll be able to freehand draw a shape. So that was shaper tool does. So now the next one now is the pencil tool. All right. So don't get this confused. There is a pen tool, right? Then there's a pencil tool. So the pen tool, let me go back. So see, this is a pencil tool. So this is what Illustrator says you can do with it, right? So this is the pen tool. You can use also the pen tool to do anything you want to do. Draw a shape, write a font, and so on and so forth. And let me try using the pen tool to draw that flower I was trying to draw with the shaper tool. Let me see if it will work. All right. So yes, it actually worked. It drew this thing, and the fill is actually white and has a stroke of this one. So let me change the fill and see what we have inside. And let me increase the stroke to 8. All right, good. So this is the pen tool. All right. I actually use the pen tool a lot, most especially if I want to um, customize a text. That means I want to change a font. I can actually use a regular font, then I'll change it. It will not look like. So that is one of the tricks I actually do because, I think we spoke about some fonts are actually paid fonts, but they will give you the font and they'll tell you if it's for personal usage, you can use it, but if it's for commercial usage, you cannot. So the idea now is that I will download a font that I know that it is for commercial usage. This is for commercial. I have to pay to use it commercially, but I'll download it nonetheless. I'll tell them how to use it for personal usage. So when I click on the artboard, then I now use this pen tool. I'll now tweak one or two things about the font. That even if you see the font, even if it looks like your font, as long as it does not retain the entire properties of your font, you cannot claim it. So that is one of the ideas of stealing like an artist. All right. So it is part of it. You just choose a font that you know it ought to be paid for. And if you are lucky enough and they give you the font for personal usage, you can just use it. Just tweak one or two things and use the pencil tool. So let me just show how to tweak this thing. All right. So let's say we have this font. Yeah. Remember what we're trying to learn. We're learning about the pencil tool. So we have this font now, and this font originally is a paid font. And without paying for it, okay. Okay, yeah, the type fonts I use for Lorem Ipsum, yes, I like it. It is let me show you the name. It is oh okay, yes, very good. Very, very good. What we're talking about now. The font is called Font Spring. Let me copy it and paste it in the group. I like it. This is a display font. This is a sans serif. That means it does not have sharp edges that come out. This is a sans serif. That means without edges. So basically, now if you look at this font now, the description of the font says Font Spring Demo, right? Let me pick font name. Control B. Let me just look for Font Spring, right? Yes, thank you very much, Cynthia. You can also use Control Plus and this is the zoom. So just use anyone makes your works faster, really. So anyone that comes to you naturally. All right. So Yeah, as I was saying now that we have a font now. If you see demo in front of your font, that means you don't have the full rights to use it. This is just a demo, just for you to use, right? So you can use it for personal project. That means project that nobody paid you for, your own project, like in your portfolio, you can use it. But if you know you want to design logo for people and you are using this font, then they might be problem if the owner sees it, right? So now this font is a demo. Now I want to use the pen to just tweak one or two things around about this font so that even if the owner sees it, even if he knows it is his own, he will not be able to claim it because there is some things to it. So now the first thing is that when you create a text in Illustrator, you see it has box and to have this line under it. Now to be able to use the pen to edit this one, you have to first convert all of this font to an outline. Just click on the font, right? Then you right click. When you right click, you see create outlines. It is Shift Control O. Honestly, I don't remember the shortcut, so I just click, and there are plenty shortcuts in my head that I might start confusing them. So the ones I know mostly that I transfer from Photoshop, I just bring them to Illustrator, the basic ones. But you see things that I now start doing with them, create this one and all this other nonsense. I don't remember them. I just know the basic ones. But if I need it, I would find my way around it. Right. So what we want to do now is, remember, we're trying to tweak this font so that when we use them, we'll not actually encounter copyright issues. So, and to do that, we'll be using the pencil tool, excuse me. So we click on the font, right click, then we create outlines. So when you create outlines here, what it does is that it will remove the underlying text here. It will just basically remove your font will no longer become a typeface. That means you will not see any name attached to it first. You see, there is no name to it. Let me take it back so you see what I'm saying. So when we click on this font first, right, you see that we have Font Spring Demo Black. At this point in time, this font is actually a font. It is a text that is editable, that you can write something else in it, right? It is a font that is editable. But the moment you right click, left click, create outlines, it turns this your font to shapes. They just become basically shapes. They are no longer fonts that you can edit anymore. So if you want to change this X, you cannot do it. That means you want to edit it and write something else. You cannot do it. You have to go and create another text. So the idea now is that you take a font, change it to an outline. So when you change it to an outline, if you click on it, everything is grouped together. If it is grouped together, you see this box containing everything. What you want to do also after converting it to an outline, you want to right click and choose on group. So basically, by default, fonts are grouped. By default, fonts are grouped. You see them together because they are together, so they are grouped. So the moment you change them to an outline, right, then you now also come and ungroup them. So when you ungroup them now, they will now exist in isolation. So now you see, I click on X, is only X, right? I click on L and it's only L that is selected. But I can also click on everything. Oh. It will show you that okay, you've actually selected everything, right? But I can actually click on individual fonts. So now let's go to the interesting part. So with the pencil tool, you can make awesome typographies yourself. Like you can decide to tweak typographies. That means text. So we have this L selected. We have selected L. So we'll go to our pencil tool. So to edit this text now, you know, we selected this thing and we change it to a shape. And remember, shapes have anchor points. You see these blue boxes, they are anchor points. Now to edit this, to make adjustments to this text now, you now bring your pencil tool to the edge, to the beginning of an anchor point. Um, Cynthia, I think your mic is on. Okay. Oh, sorry, not Cynthia, Magdalene. All right, thank you. So now we want to tweak this font, right? So what we do is we okay. Let me rephrase now. So we have a font that we cannot use because it is a demo, but still because of it on here. Please, who is that? Please try and mute yourself, please. Just I was saying we have a font that we are not supposed to use for commercial usage, right? But because we know we can tweak it, so we type in the font, we type out the font, then we convert it to an outline. So after converting to an outline, we ungroup it. So when we ungroup it, we'll be able to select the fonts individually. If you do not ungroup them, you may not be able to do this effect or this adjustment to it, right? So now that we have ungrouped now, you select the font, go to your pencil tool, then you make sure where you start from is from a anchor point or an anchor point, excuse me. So I want to draw something like this is the addition I added to it, right? So you can see that it is not really connecting because as in, okay, let me even go back. Oh, you see, when I deleted it, everything went because they are together now. So let me just click on it, go here, then I start from this one here. And oh, why did it come outside? Okay, even if it came outside, I can use, remember the direct selection tool. With the direct selection tool, I can actually choose specific anchor points to and make edits to them, right? So now this one is outside. I'll just click on it and drag it inside. See what we have. Let me do another one. So to see, let me see, I have this P here. Then I'll use the pen tool. Shortcut for the pencil tool is N. So I'll just come and don't mind how wobbly or big this thing is, right? So the goal is just to see how. So if you even click on it now, you see everything has become one because you actually started creating from the anchor point too. So let me see what else I can edit. Let me use this X. So I have this X. All right. So you can use this to make adjustments. That means the pencil tool to make adjustment. You can also use the pencil tool to create shapes, but they will not be well now balanced or equal. So you can use them to create like things like doodles. I mean, this one is like an element that you can use in your design, right? You can choose to create something like this. Just anything you feel like creating. See, so you can use the pencil tool to this effect. All right, and if you create them, they are filled by default. So you can come into your fill panel, change the color as you deem fit. All right, so that is the pencil tool. Then the next one we have the smooth tool. So the smooth tool, basically how it works is that when you create a shape or anything that is a shape or even an outline, that means a stroke, you can use the pencil, the smooth tool to smoothen. So now we have this guy here, right? We have this place. We know this place is not smooth. So if I click on the smooth tool, it will become part. I'll be able to come here. The part I want to smoothen, I'll just come and be drawing using this one to like paint over it to try as much as possible to smoothen it for me. So yes, I use this one sometimes in my project that maybe I have drawn a shape I want to smoothen. Now let me try this one. All right, so yes. So that is that about the smooth tool. Yeah. Then the path eraser tool. Okay, let me click here. So now I choose path eraser tool. I just oh yeah. I just command erase this part. Yeah. Erase. Okay. So the we spoke about the let me take it, sorry, let me confuse us. So we said we call the edges, that means this blue, this not this one. yes, this tiny blue points around our elements, we call them the anchor points. We also call them the parts too. The parts, we call them parts rather. We also call them path. If you don't call them anchor points, you call them path. All right. So let me type this in the chat too. So we also to call the anchor points paths. All right. Yeah. So the anchor point is also known as path. All right. So that's now. So we move on. We move on. So the path to basically you just use it to erase a path. Like you have like one, two, three parts here, right? I want to remove this one. Use it to erase this part. So if you erase a path now, it just erase that part and you have fewer parts. So don't worry about I'm erasing part and fewer parts. With time, you would understand it better. So now the next one we have the um, eraser tool, just like we have in Photoshop. In the eraser tool here is just to just erase. You see what we're doing? It will erase it, and as it is erasing it, it is also creating a complex shape, right? So let me show you what I was saying. So we have this circle or this oval, right? And we have the eraser tool. So if I like, maybe I have an effect. No, let me use this example. So let's say I'm creating a logo now. I have okay, no, let me go back. Let me use the what is this called? The builder tool. Yes, I'm looking for it now. Where is this? Okay, yes. Let me use the shape builder tool, right? Let me use the shape builder tool. Let me come here. So I have, let's say I am creating a logo, and the logo I'm creating is they want just they want A, the alphabet A, and they want it sort of in an abstract format, but something that just looks like A, right? So now I just decided to use the shape shaper to create a rectangle. So the goal here is to create a an abstract A, right? So this is what I'm going to do now. Take off the stroke, change the fill to black. Right. So now I have this rectangle, this triangle, right? It could also I can just leave it like this, like this is the logo, but this really does not make sense. So now I want to use the eraser to remove some parts of this triangle to just like create a shape. So I have selected the eraser tool. Let me just do things like I'll just clean from here, clean from here, right? So let's say this is my logo now, right? So this one could actually pass as a logo. Honestly, it could pass as a logo, depending on what you do, right? So this is an abstract. Abstract is there's abstract everywhere. There's abstract in design. There's abstract in art. There's abstract in music, I believe. So abstract basically is something that is not close to reality, right? It is just an idea or a movement that is not close to reality. Don't worry, I will show us how. Okay, let me just look for abstract logos real quick. Coming abstract logos. Right. Yeah. So I'll share my screen and we'll see what abstract logos look like. Where is the zoom? Okay. I'm going to share the screen in a bit. Oh yeah. So we are on our abstract. I'm trying to show us what abstract is, right? So in when you look at this logo, this Pepsi, this is Spotify, this is Olympics, right? When you look at this Pepsi logo, yeah, honestly, it does not make sense. There is nothing. It is not giving anything. It is not even giving anything. It's just there. It's just a means of identification, right? So abstract logos basically do not. in themselves, they don't really give anything of, like, there's no meaning to them. But the only time a logo makes sense, or an abstract logo makes sense, even logos entirely, the only time they make sense is when you marry them to the brand. It is the brand that gives life to your logo. Your logo does not actually make your brand. No, you can have logo, and if your brand is not it, is not it, right? It is your brand that gives life to your logo. So this is the Spotify this thing. But when you ask the designer how they come about this thing, they'll definitely have something, right? So the Spotify logo actually, to me now, is looking like an echo. It's looking like an echo, or I don't know, maybe Wi-Fi going now. So, and to just do with Spotify, it is online music platform. So it could be. Then we have the Olympics rings. I think I've forgotten about how the Olympic logo was gotten, right? But the general idea is that, see, abstract logo now. We have this is Google Drive, right? This is Google Drive. It does not make sense when you look at it in themselves. They do not really make sense. Some of them. You have Mastercard. Without the name on this Mastercard, you know them because you are used to them. But when you look at this logo, honestly, when you look at this logo, as a Nigerian client, if if a graphic designer design this logo and give you, you ask him where is the logo. You may ask where is the logo, what did you design, right? You have Unilever's logo, you have just the U, then you have patterns inside. This is Slack. Oh, I don't know, for those of us who may have used Slack or seen Slack before, it is another messaging platform, but more of like a team collaboration sort of, right? So this is Slack. This is the logo. If you look at the logo in itself, this logo does not make sense. It is not even telling you what the brand is doing. It's just there. It's so the logo is just for, is a means of identification, and this goes to show that anything can be your logo as long as it separates you from another brand, and it is memorable. When they see it, they remember it. When we see these logos, their names are not even on this thing, and we know them. Okay, there's this game I used to play. I have forgotten. I'm still trying to remember the game. The game basically is identify the logo, right? So what the game does is that it gives me different logos. You just bring the picture, then I would type in the name of the brand. So you the way it is now, yeah, you may not know. The way it works is that you will not know. Honestly, you will not know that you know so much logos. We know so much logos without knowing that we know them. It is through this game that I actually realize that, wait, what? I know this much logos. Like, that means you know this so much brand. I'll try as much as well to find the game and bring it. More opportunity now, I don't even remember the game. All right. So the next one now, we have this other abstract logos. This one now, I've not seen them before. I don't even know who this one belongs to. I don't know. They are just logos there. No, nothing in particular. Then some abstract logos actually impute some elements in them and whatnot, right? So to make abstract logos, sometimes it's just like you using different shapes and creating the logo. But sometimes you may actually embed some elements of the brand inside, right? So these are more abstract logo, are just logos for identification, and even Apple's logo too is abstract, right? So that's that about it. Let me go back to sharing my Illustrator. Your eraser path didn't work. Yeah, it is. It happens like that in some Photoshop versions, and sometimes, so I don't know why it does like that. Right? No, it worked. It worked. Convert that. Coming, I'm coming. Okay, yes. The eraser part to the part eraser to actually worked. But when you erase a shape, when you erase a shape that is filled, you may not see it. So let's say we have this one, and the only thing we have on this one is stroke, right? Let me increase the stroke size to let me increase to 3. Cynthia. So we want to use the path eraser tool on this one. So, and for the path now, we have all these parts, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts.
Sorry, remind me that you used to draw the triangle.
You can use the shape tool, then you can use the shaper tool.
Because in the option of shape two, I'm not seeing a triangle. That's what I'm
Yes, you
asking.
can use, okay, in shape 2, you can use the polygon, right? You can use the polygon.
Oh,
So you can just like click once to draw a triangle. Let me create a new artboard. Let me create a new artboard. Where's my artboard? Okay. All right. So we want to draw a triangle with the shape 2. In Photoshop too, I believe you can do this thing. Yes, you can do it in Photoshop where you use the polygon tool to create a triangle. What you just do is reduce the size of this. So we have clicked on the polygon tool, right? If I click once on the artboard, polygon tool, I have polygons, I have the 6 sides. But if I change the 6 sides to 3 and click OK, I have a triangle. You get it? So that is one way to do it. Matter of fact, for this one, for Illustrator now, you can see on the panel, we have 3 sides. If I increase it, let me drag it up. It changes. You see, change it to 8, octagon, right? So see the polygon 2. If I change it to 3, I have triangle. It cannot go below 3 because it starts from 3. That is how you create this thing. So let me see. I think there's this other way I do it too. Let me drag. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so there's this other way. If you don't want to click once and start manually doing it, you can make sure you've selected your polygon tool. So when you are dragging the polygon on the artboard, use the direction tool. That means you're up, you're down. You understand? So I am still dragging on it. I have not released it. And if I use my arrow tool, my up, my down, you see the shapes they change, right? So it is actually increasing and reducing the angles. So if I feel like it is a triangle I want to draw, I'll just leave it, and my triangle is there. So Cynthia, let's go back to the path eraser tool. So I was saying the path eraser tool actually works, but you see it when you are erasing the path from an outline than a fill. So let's say this is a path eraser tool. If I erase this part, let me zoom in so you see it very well, right? So this part, everything is connected. So, and I want to use the path eraser tool. If I erase it like that, I circle it. No, excuse me. It broke this part. Sorry. Why are you doing this? To work. I think because I'm zoomed in. Okay. It actually worked all this while, but I was just trying to make sure there's enough space rather. So we have, okay, let me go back to the beginning so you see what we have. So originally we have 3 parts here. You can count it 1, 2, 3, right? And I want to erase a path. So if I erase a path, it will break the parts. It will break it apart. No rhyme intended. So I'll just click this place. I'll erase this place. The moment I erase this place, you see that it has created one path here and other parts here. And you can see there's space between. And if I click the direct selection tool, I can just select this part and move it up, separate it. So it actually works, right? See. So we actually used the path eraser tool to
It
break
works
up
on my
that
own.
part. It is not on your own.
No, I say it works now. It's okay. I've
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
it.
All right. Yes. Thank you. So that is how you use the path eraser tool. If you use it on shape tool, on a fill tool, you will not see it, but it has actually worked. But if you hover your this thing on it, right? I don't know. Yes, you see this blue line ends here. There's this blue line. You see, this is the blue line. It ends here. Then the other thing that comes after it is is the selection. So if you want to see if your path tool has worked, convert your fill to stroke. And this is how you do it. You just, if it is a stroke, just switch this place and you see, this is what we did. It has worked. All right. So we move this one to the edge. So I think we are done with the eraser tool. The scissors really nothing much about the scissors. So the next one we have the rotate and the reflect tool. So the shortcut for the rotate is R, then the shortcut for the reflect is O. So now we want to oh sorry, let me let me use a shape. Let me just use a shape. How I did this one, I just hold Alt from under this thing and drag it. I believe remember how to duplicate in Illustrator. Use you hold down Alt and drag, then you drop, you duplicate. So we want to use the rotate and the reflect too. Let me duplicate this one. So we have a duplicate. So we want to use the rotate and the reflect too.
Papa, you said the short key for duplicate is what again?
In Illustrator, you hold down Alt, right? When you hold down Alt, you see this your move to become double. So when you hold down Alt, you will drag what you want to duplicate, drag it to the position you want, then you leave it. That is duplicate. And if you want to do multiples of it, like you want to do plenty, instead of you to come back to start duplicating one after the other, the first thing you do is just hold down your Alt, then you drag to the side. After you've dragged to the side, let's say you need 5 of this one. After you've made the first duplicate, you just do Control D, Control D, Control D to make more of your duplicates. But the moment you click out, that means you have nothing selected. If you do the Control D, nothing will happen to it. All right, so that is how you use the duplicate. How to duplicate. So let me just bring this back. Then let me duplicate again. I'll just keep this one because I need it. So now, what we want to do now is we we want to use the rotate tool and the reflect, right? So for the rotate tool now, we say the shortcut is rotate R. That is the shortcut. So when you click on the rotate tool, when you click on the rotate tool, you come to the element you want, right? You just come and click in the middle of the element you want. You see this line. Click on the rotate tool, then you come to the element you want to rotate. You click in the line, then you just rotate it. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back. So just make sure before you use the rotate tool, make sure it is selected. Like you select it with V. You make sure it is selected, right? You see you can know that it is selected if it has all these boxes on the side. So it is selected, then we come to the rotate tool. So when you come to the rotate tool, you just click in the center. So when you click in the center, just rotate it. This is rotation. You just hold an angle. Just hold one angle and rotate. And you see this thing is actually rotating and the center remains in place because we dropped the rotation in the center. If we had dropped the anchor point on another angle entirely, if we rotate, the rotation would, this place will be locked in place and the other parts will be rotated. So let's do this. You can see so what this one does is that it locks the parts you don't want to move. It locks it in place, then the other parts can be rotated, right? So we rotated this one. Now, so let's say we want to rotate it to this side. You just click on this side. This place will be locked. Then any rotation will be the other part rotates, but this part will remain in place. That's how I use the rotation tool. So now we want to do the reflect tool. I'm thinking, well, this one, no, this one will not work with my reflect tool. So let me just do something like this. So we'll see our reflect tool. So now the next tool is the reflect tool, right? Just like the way it is there, it reflects it. So now we have put it here. It's almost the same thing as the rotate tool. It's almost the same thing as the rotate tool, honestly. But if you hold down shift, it will be clicking it to 90, okay, 45 degrees, excuse me. You see, without shift, it is actually going freely. You can rotate it. It hits almost every angle. You see your angles going plus, minus. That means it is hitting every angle. But if you hold down shift, If you hold down shift, it should be snapping it to 45 degrees. I mean, you can see the first one under. If it's vertical, right, it is 45 degrees. When you do it also this way, 45, 45, 45, 45 plus 45. This is the first 45. Then it goes left, another 45, that's 90, another 45, 135, 180. So this one basically just helps you snap your this thing at 190. I can use it to reflect. And if you have another element, let's say this one, we could not see this one very well because it is the same. So we have okay, we have this one now. Let me rotate this.
Hello,
Exactly.
sir.
So I have rotated this one upside down. So you see, this is how the rotation. So this is not what we had before. Rotation, you know how rotation is. You want to flip the angles or the orientation of something. So that is the rotation tool. Okay, Mr. David. Sorry, yeah, I can see your hand up. You can unmute, please.
Yes,
Wait,
sir.
Mr.
Good morning,
Boss.
morning, sir.
Yeah, briefly.
I've been following the class and this is very very interesting so far. Sir, please quickly, I want to ask a question. I'm sorry about my background noise.
Yeah.
The app logo. Wow, it's wow. Like for this people. So sir, is there a way just like the way we did with the Lorem Ipsum text that we were able
Yeah.
to visualize this text? Is there a way we can also do that on a shape that we just use an eraser to swipe through?
I cannot
Just
really
for
hear you well. Your is it the mic? I'm trying to get the question. I cannot hear it well.
okay, okay, okay. What about now?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's better now.
Okay, I'm asking, the way
Yeah,
we were able to isolate the text for the Lorem Ipsum text,
yeah.
and then we now give it different shapes and all that. Is there a way too we can do it when we are doing the abstract logo? So when we swipe through, like the way you did that triangle, you swipe through, and then we were able to have a very fine
This
logo.
one, right?
Is there a way? Yes. Is there a way we can isolate them, then give them colors,
Yes,
like the
yes.
way the
Oh, sorry, I
Pepsi
did.
logo and like the Pepsi
Yeah,
logo I saw. Yes, and then give it other colors. I want to know.
yes, we can. Okay, sorry, I did not cover that part. Okay, so you see, the moment you clean this place and you clean this place, Photoshop will automatically separate these things. So if I click on this one, you see that it is one selection. You know, originally it was one triangle, right? But we only use that eraser tool to just like quickly create a logo. We just swipe through like this, swipe through. So the moment you do that, right, Photoshop will separate that part for you and do it. So see, for instance, now we have this one separate, this one separate, this one separate. So now we can actually give them different colors because they are separate. For instance, now we have this one selected. We can just double click and let's say we want blue for it. We have blue. Say we have this one now. We select it, we have red. All right. So let me just try and mimic the Pepsi logo. All right. So we have this one. So the first thing, okay, so so this one is a quick advice, right? When you are designing your logo at any point in time, the first thing you want to do is design your logo in black and white, or you have black. Just make sure everything is in black and white first. So after you have designed in black and white, you can later go back and be giving them colors. The reason being that when you design your logos in black and white, it will help you focus on designing the logo itself than actually applying the color. So everything's actually a step at a time. So the first thing I do is design my logos in black and white. After I finish designing in black and white, I put the typography and I send the concepts to the clients that okay, this is you have two concepts, you choose one. So when they choose one, then I'll go back, apply the color, then I'll send back again. Right. So that is just a quick one. So now we have this logo. We just want to try and mimic the Pepsi logo. So let me quickly see how it looks. I'll be coming. Okay, so this is just a quick mimicry of the Pepsi logo. I want to just use my eraser tool. I just choose my eraser tool. Let me increase the size of it. Oh, come to my eraser tool. I just come here. I'll just swipe through, right? Let me take it back. I don't want this. Just swipe through. Come in. Try to do some. No, no, not this. Okay, let me just do it like this. That I have swiped through, right? So the moment I do this, the eraser tool for the illustrator will divide this thing. Don't to divide it. Okay, sometimes you have it together, right? What you just do is ungroup them. If you know, in the case of this triangle, we did not. We only just clean, and we had the different shapes individually. Now for this circle, now if you click on everything and move, you see that they are still together. Don't worry about it. You click on it, you right click, then you ungroup. So when you ungroup, you remember how we isolated the text? We actually ungrouped to have them. So you ungroup. So now that we've ungrouped now, we just want to sample the color. We have this one. Remember the eyedropper tool from Photoshop? You also have it here too. So just choose the eyedropper tool and sample this one. Click on this one. Use the eyedropper tool, sample this one. See, we have like a Pepsi logo now. So it is funny that sometimes, right? Sometimes you may go to Illustrator and create a logo in less than 1 hour, but other times you have to wait. You have to like spend so much time. The problem there is it is not really a problem. It is just the process. Before you create a logo, the first thing you have to do is you have to do research. You have to first understand the client's brief. That means the description of what they want or what the business is about. Sometimes some clients will not even tell you what they want. They'll just tell you what the business is about, the core values of the business, the feeling they want their business to be given, right? The vibe they want to be associated to their business. So it is now it is now dependent on you, the designer. You now start making researches that okay, you now look up um, the feeling that so and so word have. You look for logos that are in the same industry as you look for logos that are in the same industry as okay, someone has a question. Is it only abstract logo we have or we the common zone or for the world market special? No, we have different types of logo, different types of logo. All right. So let me let me just share the screen. So I'll just look for we have different types of logo. We have different types. I cannot exhaust them, but yeah, okay, let me share this one. Let me share the screen real quick. So we have different types of logo, not only abstract, right? So let me just click this one. This is more, oh, come on. Oh, yeah, I'll still share the screen. Yeah. All right. So I think we can see this one, 99 Design. This is the website. I like this website. So you can get inspirations from here. So they have the 7 types of logo and how to use them, right? So let me copy this link, something that you may have to just go through. That is the link, right? In your free time, you may just go through it and check the types of logo. So let's go back to showing our Illustrator. So we have different types of logo and how to use them. You see in-depth information about them there. All right, so Mr. David, I hope your question has been answered about creating different systems. Okay, so
Yeah,
we've talked
yes,
about
sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
all right, yeah, welcome, boss. So the next one now we have the scale tool. So normally, if I want to scale down any elements in Illustrator, what I do is I'll just click on the element. I go to the edge, any edge of the element at all. I hold shift down, then I just push inside or even push out. If I want to scale up, I'll push out. If I want to scale in, make it smaller, I'll push inside, right? So by holding down shift, it will not distort my selection. let me try and scale this thing up without holding down shift. I'm just dragging. It, it will distort my selection if I do not hold down shift. But if I hold down shift, it will not distort it. It's just like scale it properly. Every angle is the same. I mean, you see the numbers, right? The W is 2.42 inches, the height is 2.42 inches. That is because I'm holding down shift. But if I do not hold down shift, you see the numbers 2.21 and 1.74, right? So without holding down shift, your scaling distorts. So then Illustrator actually has a scaling tool. What that one does is you don't need to, okay, just make sure everything is selected first. What that one does is that you don't need to hold down shift. Just click the scale tool, click on the inside where you want to scale it to, just like saying we have the rotation tool. Then you just drag, you see the scaling is bringing it to the inside of it. You are scaling it to the inside, that means to the center, right? If I click on this place, I want to scale, you just scale. The scaling will only will just be starting from the top left angle and right angle. So honestly, I don't use the scale too much. This one, I don't use it much because I just prefer using the holding down shift and pulling down. And like we mentioned earlier, that the tool you use depends on how comfortable you are with it and how it affects your productivity, right? So I have actually grown accustomed to using the shift tool and drag it from any angle to scale down. So that is that about this one. So now the next one now is the width tool. WIDTH. Width tool. Right. So the illustration here is showing you that if you have a stroke, by default, when you draw a stroke, everything of the same width, right? But with the width tool, you can actually increase the points, that means the path of one, and reduce some. You can use this thing also to create logo. Let's say your logo is just an arc, right? So the first thing I want to do is let me create an arc. Where is this? All right. So this is the beginning of our logo. We have an arc and there's really nothing in it. So the first I'll just make sure I have stroke to it, and I have let's say 5. All right. So we want to learn how to use the width tool. The width tool is to increase the width of strokes. You cannot increase the width of solid fill. That means if you have a shape that is filled, real difference. This is a filled. This is filled because it's filled. This is filled because it's filled. I mean, everything is covered, right? This is a stroke because there's nothing inside. It's just an outline. This is also a stroke. It is just way thicker than this one. All right. So now we have this one, but we want to increase one edge. So you just make sure it is selected and you come to the width tool. So when you come to the width tool, you see this wavy line. If you want to add it, you just come. If you want to add a width now, you just come to the edge of one. Then you drag out. See what we have? You drag out. Then if you feel like this place is too thick, you want to increase it, you can drag it out or you can even make it flatter, right? So you see what we turned that mono line into. So one of the advantages of this thing is that you can use it to create typography to, like, you want to create cursive text. So let me illustrate. Remember, is the pencil tool now I want to use this time. So let me say I want to write something like let me just write this. Okay, yeah. So I actually did this one with the pen tool, right? So everything is equal, but this is not what I want. I want to create like a cursive tool, a cursive text. So I'll just come to my width tool. I'll come to the top here. The places I want to increase, I'll increase this one, right? I mean, from this one, now this thing looks fine now. Let me even duplicate it so we'll do before and after. Like we are selling organic cream. So this is what I want to do: increase the width of this one. Oh no, 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 too much. All right, I have increased the width of this one. So because I actually drag from here, it increased this place, and you can see these other parts are tiny. And this one is not so pointy like we want it. So I'll just select it, come back to the week 2, then I'll drag. Okay, no, sorry. I'll just drag this one inside. Did I not select it? Excuse me. Come in. So okay, this one has two anchor parts here. Let me go back. Let me zoom out so I'll see what I'm doing. All right, all right. So the problem, this one had two anchor points there. That's why it has more than one. So I'll just you go here. Let me see how many left. Okay, yeah. So I can just shrink this one. Uh, why did you choose today? I have plenty anchor points here. So let me battle with this thing and see why it is acting like this. Weird. Adding new anchor points. That is not what I want. It's distorting it. No, this is not what I want. Let me see if it is the same with this edge. This point worked, right? You can see the edge of this one is sharp. Then why is this one messing up? Let me go back to it. I have it selected. Then okay, I believe the anchor points here are too much. Anchor points here are too much. That is why. So, but the general idea is this is where we start from. This is our starting point, and this is what we have, right? So you can use this one to create cursive text. Remember when I said that you can you can create your own font, right? So you can, if you have the time. No, honestly, if you have the time and the skill, you can. You know, to create fonts, you have to manually create the alphabet. You have to create from A to Z. You have to create one to zero. Yeah, from 0 to 9. You have to create from 0 to 9. They have to create some of the characters. So if you have that time, you can do it, right? So what you this is one step of doing it. You create, let's say we create let me try and do A. I hope I get it in one swoop. Okay, let's assume this is my A. Then I cannot use this one as a font. I'll just come and increase some parts. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm inside. Yeah. So I increase some part of this. And I feel like this is my A. You have to come and create B also to be able to include in your fonts pack. All right. So this is my B. So the thing about it is that you just have to be consistent in the font you created, right? So but you can use it to create font this thing. So let's say for instance now we have this thing that we created now. These fonts are not fonts that you would find anywhere. You just like created them. So this is also an advantage in using Illustrator because you can use different tools to create things that are distinct to your brand, right? So we just use from stroke. I mean, from using a pen tool to create a stroke, we turn the stroke into customized text. All right. So I think this is 11 o'clock already. This is 11 o'clock already. So when we come back, we'll continue from no, we'll continue from this one. We don't really use a free transform tool. All right, so we'll continue from the next listing. Oh, you people are leaving. Did not even tell me to break. All right, so we are on break now. Okay, so I forgot about the recording again. I'm sorry. So let me just go back to the free transform tool. So the free transform tool is the same thing as the one we have in Photoshop. So when you want to transform, now you want to resize or you want to reduce the size of an element or increase the size, you in Photoshop is Control T, right? But then in Illustrator it's just E on your keyboard. Then you have it. So when you have it, you just come to the side of it, you drag down, drag in and out to increase, in to reduce. And to make a proportionate scaling, you have to hold down shift to do this, right? So the reason I don't use this one is because I already use the move tool, hold shift and just do these things without having to select either of these tools. So plenty of times, honestly, I don't even include this in my panel. I just take them out. But I just left them because of the lesson, so would know what they do at least.
Mr.
Right.
Dan, Mr.
So
Dan, Mr. Dan, wait. Share. It has other options, just like in Photoshop, like the shot and so on and so forth, right?
yeah, it has. But under here is just the move to and the puppet work too. We will not go into the puppet work too because that one is a little bit advanced sort of. So we'll not just go into it. So we'll leave it. So yeah, this one has. Let me try and open it. I thought I saw it that time. Um, I saw it too. There's this thought. There's this thought in Illustrator too. Is I think it's called perspective two. Is it the perspective two? No, this is the perspective. Not this grid two. Not this one. It was here just now. Share two. This one
Yeah,
is on
it's
this.
there. You just click on it and it will bring the options for you.
This
It
one is
also
the
has
share. Yeah,
the free support.
yeah. Come in. So this is the. So we have the share tool. So this is what it does, right? We have the shape, and you want to just do anything to it. You just use the share tool, and you see how we are distorting this rectangle, but turning it to something else. So that is what the share tool does. Then if you click that, you have the reshape tool coming. So you just use the reshape to reshape it. So not here. These tools do not really give me what I want, so I just let them be and use other tools like this reshape tool, honestly. So the one I even use sometimes is this scale tool, and less frequently this share tool because they don't really give me the result I want. So I just do my stuff with other tools instead, right? So in fact, they even just added this other tools in it. They were not in Photoshop, so I've really gotten used to doing things the way I did it. But it is not to say I'm too comfortable doing them and I cannot adapt. No, it's just that some tools are just stressful and unnecessary. So if you can do it in one way and you find it easier to do, so why not just continue with your tools? So we've talked about the transform tool. So now this shape builder tool, right? So I was thinking about the shape builder tool. That this is one really good tool that you would need. Every designer needs to use the shape builder tool. What the shape builder tool does is that you can have two different shapes, right? You have this one. Let me draw another shape. Then you have this one, right? So okay, let me change the color so see the differences. See the differences between all of them. Okay, very good. Now we have three different shapes here. We have the square, you have the circle or the ellipse, then we have the triangle. So you see, all of these shapes, all of these elements are three different shapes individually. But with the shape builder too, I can combine the shapes together, right? There are actual other ways of doing it. There's another two of the shape builder too, but since we're talking about the shape builder tool at the moment, so we just try and combine those tools together. So first thing you need to do is you have to like bring them into one place, right? They are together right now, but they are not combined because I mean you can still remove this one. So they are not combined. So now you want to combine them. Let me just make a duplicate of this. So we want to combine all of this together. So when you create all these three shapes together and you select all of them, if you zoom in, you would see where it is intersecting. You see the part of the rectangle going around it, so you know that okay, yeah, there's a rectangle beneath. But now what you want to do is you want to combine everything together. Like this, let's say this is the logo you're working on, and you want to combine different shapes together and make them one. Right now you have three shapes, right? So what you do is select your shape builder tool. So when you select your shape builder tool, you push it on your element. The moment you put it on your element, you see this plus sign under it, right? So this plus sign means you want to add this shape to this shape. You want to add everything. So you drag. You don't even have to. You can do it manually. You can just like do like you're painting or playfully. No, let me stop here first. Let me just do it to this place, right? So you can see that I have actually this one now becomes one. You see where the box stop, right? It do not add this part to it because I did not make the selection over it. So if I want to make sure everything is selected, I turn everything into one shape. I'll just shape you that. I'll just make sure everything I want to include in one shape is included. So you see it has become one shape. And the way Illustrator does it, I don't know which rules it follows. It will just, if you have different colors, for instance, it will take one of the colors and make it just one of the this thing. For instance, now if you have this same thing in comment, if you have this same thing in all black, right? You have all of this shape in all black, but there are different shapes. Honestly, there are different shapes. You can see, you can move them around. I mean, you can see this one is just one. Now you want to just combine everything together. If you select everything, you'll be seeing the parts, the remaining part of this one intersecting and this one entering. If you use the shape either to just come, copy, just select everything you want to merge, then it becomes one, right? You see, you have just one shape. That is the shape builder. So the shape builder honestly is very, very handy. It's very, very handy. I use it for logo plenty times. I just have like one of these, another one of these, then select them together and just merge them. Because you cannot create this shape, or let's say you cannot create this logo alone on itself. You have to like create two circles. And you have to note that one of the best practices of doing logo is we usually start with basic shapes. You start logo with basic shapes. But if your logo is on maybe word mark, that means your logo is just word alone, then you can use text straight up like that. But if your logo is just maybe something you illustrated, something that you sketched, like for this A we had now, for this A we had, it was a basic shape. It was a triangle. Before we used eraser to remove this part and change to this thing. In fact, Pepsi's logo is a basic shape, right? It is a basic shape before you did the eraser to and did all of these ones. So and you there are plenty of logos out there that are just everything is gotten from basic shapes, right? So that is the shape builder. So you can combine different elements together in the shape builder too, with the shape builder too. So now for font, right? For font, you can actually do it for font, but you have to convert the font to shapes. And to convert fonts to shapes, you have to convert them to outlines. So let me illustrate that. So we have okay, lorem ipsum, right? So lorem ipsum as it is now, it is a text, and we cannot do. You see, you cannot do shape builder tool on it. If you place your shape builder tool on it, you see the stop sign. It is stopping you from doing it. And in fact, if you like, click to yesterday, it will not do anything to it. So the first thing you just have to do is right click, create outlines. If you create outlines, you can just choose to ungroup, right? Because even if they are together, even if they are separate like this, they are separate like this, and you do the shape builder too, you see, it's not creating anything because nothing is intersecting. So how to create a shape builder to something has to intersect with something. So let's say this O and L now they intersect. and I bring my shape builder to, you see now it works. It's so happy that yeah, they're intersecting, now I can do something, right? So now that I've clicked on them, you see they are all together now. See, they are together. So you have to make sure the element you want to use the shape builder to on are intersecting, right? They are touching. If they are separate like this, they have space in between. If you use the shape builder tool, would not, you see, it's just selecting and it's just there. It's trying to add, but nothing is touching, right? So you see, they still remain the same. So you have to make sure they are intersecting before you can create a shape tool with them. All right, so the next one is the paint bucket tool, the live paint bucket tool. So if you have a paint bucket tool, what you do is you use it to fill in a solid color, right? So we have this stroke. Let me take it outside so you see that there's nothing inside. It is just a stroke. Oh boy. It's just a stroke. There's nothing in it. It's just an outline. But now we want to just pour some paint inside. That means some colors in it. So we should choose the light bucket tool. By default, you see different colors on the top. The one you want, you use the arrow key to change the colors that you want. So if you see the one you want, you just come inside this place and click. So it adds it, right? So it adds your colors in it. So that is that for using the paint bucket tool. So, but most importantly, I use the shape builder too. All right. So, the next one now is the perspective grid tool. Perspective grid tool is a little bit advanced, so would not go into it for this lesson. The next one also the mesh tool, quite advanced. We'll save it for later. So that is that. Then the next one we have the gradient tool. Everybody knows the gradient tool. We have seen the gradient tool in Photoshop. I've seen gradient to almost every. You see gradient to almost everywhere you go. So you click on gradient to. Remember that this panel gives you the information about any tool you are selected, and even the top panel gives you. But it is this right hand panel that gives you almost everything that you want. So now we have clicked the gradient tool. So just click on here. You click on the place you want to add the gradient, and it adds the gradient, right? But your gradients, you want to change the colors of it, you can just come inside here and click inside here. You click one of the circles of the gradient, and the one it gives you sometimes might be grayscale. So you have to just come to this hamburger menu or this bullet points here, change it to RGB to be able to access your color wheel. So this is this. So if you're okay with it, you go back, you click inside here, make sure this is RGB, and you select. Okay, so see, we have been able to give this rectangle a gradient. All right, so that's about using the gradient tool now. So the next one is the eyedropper tool. Oh, we know the eyedropper tool. So no, just for refresher, the eyedropper tool use it to sample a color. Like we have this one, oh, and we have this one. And for this one, we want to sample the two colors here for these two boxes. So I'll make sure my box is selected. I'll click the eyedropper to shortcut I. Then I'll click on the color I want to sample. And because this right here rectangle we have here is a gradient. So in Photoshop, the eyedropper tool cannot sample gradient. It can only sample one color at a time. That is why if you want to sample for gradients, you have to like click this other part first, click the second part to do it. But in Illustrator, you can actually sample an entire gradient by using this thing. And if I think you can sample font size with let me be sure. Let me click on this. So I have this lorem ipsum. I have this lorem ipsum quite all right. This is 72. Let me duplicate and give it. Let's say I'll give it 20. Wow, cool. So yes, I have this one. 20 this is 72. So let me see if I can actually sample font size. Yep, you can sample font size. Like Illustrator is so good that it is not only color you can sample font size. And in fact, this one has a stroke. Let me duplicate. Let me delete this one first. Let me duplicate this one, bring this bro here. So I want to sample this one. This one has a stroke. This one has a stroke, has a fill and a stroke. This one just gradients now. So let me use the sampling tool. If it's to sample this one. Okay, it did not sample this one because we use the paint bucket tool. That's why this one did not sample like it. But mostly you can use the sampling tool. That means the eyedropper to sample not only color, but you can sample some effects too in Photoshop. Excuse me, in Illustrator. Right. So in that regard, it is steps ahead of Photoshop. So that's it about the eyedropper tool. So we have the blend tool. Now we have the blend tool. In previous versions, right, the blend tool was actually, it was not here. It was in the, you have to go to object, go down to blend. I mean, they still have it here, but they created an icon for it. So now let's watch how this blend tool works. So you can blend colors of shape. We have this one here. You have this here. Let me give it a different color too. I have this here. Then we have, let me just pop this here. No, let me do another shape. So we'd have variety. No. Okay. Where did that go? Oh, there's already a triangle there. Let me let me do something else. And lips too. Wait. Okay. You see why this thing is happening is that even if I'm holding, why this thing is happening is because on my thing, the perspective grid tool is there, is selected. That is why it is distorting my. If you see, let me try and create this triangle now. Even if I click and drag, you see it's distorting the triangle. I cannot even create anything proper. I'm even trying to create a circle. You see, it's distorting it. It's creating oval for me. Let me go back to this one. You see, I'm trying to create a box and it's distorting it. That is why I said the perspective grid tool is problem. So I don't really use it because it messes up my workflow. Let me see how to even hide this thing. Forgotten how to hide this thing. So this is the grid. Trying to remove this perspective tool because I know it messes up with my selection the moment it comes out like this. It is quite hard to remove and oh, it's loading. Send report. No, don't send. Oh, sorry. He closed. So let me reopen it. So they're asking me to send report. that my Illustrator is messing up. So I'm trying to reopen the Illustrator because it's just closed. Okay, I just reopened the Illustrator. So let me go back to sharing the screen now. Illustrator. Wait. Come on. Trying to share the screen and okay. All right. So I believe we're back. We can see it. Okay, yeah. So I believe we can see our Illustrator, right? Can we see it?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, okay, very good. Thank you. So now we want to use the okay before we use the blend tool, is this brother that I'm trying to remove from here. Honestly cannot remove it from there. I don't know why it's stuck there. I don't even need it. But it's just there, stressing my life. So I'll just duplicate another shape and use instead. Okay, so yeah, we want to use the blend tool. I think we did a little exercise that day. So this is another way, right? So we want to blend all of these elements. We just select them, choose the blend tool, then just click the direction you want it to start from. So see what we had. We had three colors, right? We had you if you put on top, you see the shapes you had. We have the triangle, we have the square, then you have the square that we rotated, and this one was brown. This is a kind of lime green or grime green. This is like a peach, sort of like fading off. So you can see the tips, right? So what the blend does is that to try and blend it, like you see, we have this color, right? This color will go and start fading into this one till this one becomes thick or strong. Then this one too goes and start fading into this one. So that is one the blend tool. So if you're even dragging them, you'll be seeing your shapes. So you just try and remember that things are actually made up of simple shapes, simple basic shape in Illustrator. So I'm holding down on the this thing, right? You can see the shapes. If I just come and drag it here, then everything you can even see the shapes. You select everything. So let me do one more. Oh, I just remembered now that this brother is turn on no active grid. Okay, let me see if it works. Oh, okay, okay. Wait. If I click on the inside, there's active grid. If I unselect, what did I do that time? Oh yeah, 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 I've gotten it. I click one. If I click one part, let me zoom in. That part will not zoom in. That part will not zoom in. All right. So the way it is now, right? If you can see this little perspective grid two, you can see that one part of grid two is blue. So that means you
Please,
have one.
can you zoom in, please, so we can see your screen clearly?
You. I am trying to zoom in, but this tool is not. The zoom tool is not affecting it. It is affecting my artboard. The zoom tool is really affecting my artboard. But this tiny this thing, can you see it? this one here that I'm hovering over.
Yes, yes.
So you can see that one part of it is blue, right? So it is blue because that means you have selected that you want your perspective, you want to do the left grid. If you click on this one, you see another part became red. If I click on under, and it became like green sort of. So I don't want anything at all. I'll just click outside. I'll click in the circle that contains everything. So that means you see it, no active grid. If you click inside this one, you see left grid, right grid, then horizontal grid. But the moment I click inside of this circle, then there's no active grid. Okay, well, so I just learned something now. So that is that. I don't really use it, so that is why it was a little bit hard to go around. So I'm trying to. So let me do this one now. So I want to create a blending tool. Let me change this one to. Let me change it to pink. Change this one by here to orange. Then change this one here to some more like this. No, okay, sorry, not. Then this one to yellow. It doesn't matter which color, right? So I want to just blend everything together. So I can actually start the blending from here to here, then here to here. So let me just select this tool first. I go to my blend tool. So yeah, I have blended them, right? So I've only blended these two. So I want to add this one to it. I'll just make a selection of everything. Come to my blend tool, come down here and oh sorry. Here, just click on it and blend. Voila. You see what we have? Kind of looks nice. You have this effect on this, like this thing is going here, then it comes in. Let me see if I can change color of this pink. So I think you can even drag. Okay, if you use the move tool, you drag everything. But if you use the direct selection tool, you'll be able to change the position of. You see, we created this thing, right? Then we are using the direct selection to even change the position of it. Let me see if I can change the color of the star. Let me see. Let me see. I hope this one works. Yes, it did. So you see, even though you create this blend tool, you can still go in and edit them one after the other, right? It is super cool. So the things you can do with Illustrator is mind blowing. So let's try and make sure we are following this exercise. Try and create them because I mean it is by doing that we
Mr.
learn.
Dan, my blending tool is not working. I don't know why. Do
Your
I have
what?
to select my blending tool? Do I have to select the shape?
Yes, you have to select the shape. You have to select. You have to make sure everything is selected.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to make sure everything is selected. Then when you now place it on it, if you see a plus, you see a plus sign, then drag. Just click or drag. Either way will work. As it works now. So you can have cool effects that you create. You can decide to let me use this one and let me change the color right here. Oh, okay. Let me see. This is this. Change the color to a blue. Let's say a darkest blue. Oh, okay. It changed now. I don't know what happened initially. All right. So I'm trying to tweak the colors, right? So I have this one. Then I want to change this one now to that blue too, but it'll be lighter. Right. I mean, look at the gradient we did, right? We have three gradient, and it is cool because you can see it come from this side so dark, then it's coming here and it's coming brighter. Let me increase the brightness of this one. So see what we have. is so fine, right? So let me drop it on this dark place. So you see, it's what we created with the blend tool. So and it is vector, right? So that is that about the blend tool. So let me bring this to the side, this to the side. And in Illustrator, you can actually create elements outside of your artboard, just like we have here, right? Like there are times, funny thing is that you see the artboard, right? There are times where I would have work plenty all around the place, plenty, even outside the artboard. I just know if I want to export, I'll be able to export them. I'll drag them and drop. But when we get to that part, we'll talk about it, right? So this is that about it. So the next one is let me create a new artboard. So yes, I have created a new artboard, which is the fourth one. So we have talked about the blend tool, the symbol sprayer tool. Let's not go there, complicated. The column graph tool, this one too. That is, if you click on this, you see what you have. You use it for um, data visualization. You use it for infographics, right? You know your infographics, your column graph, your stack column graph, your bar chart, your graph to line graph, all those stuff. So if you want to do them in Illustrator, Illustrator has options for them. These are fairly new features, right? So as case limits. So this right here now is now. This is what I'm saying. The thing I'm saying about Illustrator is that data as much as possible, right? To repeat elements or to repeat tools. So if you cannot find it in one place, you can find it in another place. Okay, very good. Now we have artboards here, right? We can just click on here and create artboard. But you also have this one here, which is the artboard that you can select and decide to create another artboard, but with a different shape or a different length, right? So on this place, when we click on new, it creates a new artboard, but with the same size with this one. But here, if you click on this one, you can decide to create another album with different shape. So let's go back to this place now. Even on this place, if you create new, after finish creating new, you can just come to the edge of it and resize. So that means you can elongate your artboard or even shorten it. Right. So you see what we did? We use the artboard tool here to create this artboard. Like we just drag and made it long. Then we went back to the original artboard we created. We just clicked on it. No, sorry. We click on this place, and the moment you click on this place, you make sure you are clicked on here. So this is where you get the edit mode of the artboard if you want to increase the height. So let's say this is the height of the artboard we want. We've reduced it, and we can if you want to add another one under it, you can add another one under it. So you can have numerous artboards in Illustrator, right? Illustrator does not really care. Just have the artboard, and it makes it easy to do. So that's that about artboard. So you can delete the artboard. You can just click delete, or drag and drop in the trash. So let's go back to the regular artboard. So that's that. Slice two, another complicated this thing. So we'll just pen that. Then the next one, you have the hand tool for panning across your artboard, and we say the shortcut for it is H spacebar, excuse me, spacebar, hold spacebar, left click and drag. Then we have the zoom tool, right? We have the zoom tool just the same way the zoom tool in Photoshop works. Then we say the shortcut for the zoom tool is you hold down Alt, excuse me, you hold down Alt, then you use the scroll tool on your mouse to roll it round, right? So let me see if I can do it with my trackpad. I have to be frank, I don't like working with trackpad because trackpad doesn't give you the freedom you need to work with. So I don't work with trackpad. Stressful. All right, so the next one I want to be talking about the color panel. So the colors you see here, the first one you see is the fill, right? Then the other one beneath it is the stroke. So if you have the fill here, that means your color is filled. And if this one is cancelled, that means your element does not have stroke. So let's illustrate. We'll draw this. So the first thing you have is this is filled. It is filled, right? There is no stroke outside because this one is cancelled. If you want to add the stroke, you just click on it, come to this place, then in fact, not even choosing the color, you can just add size because it adds black to it by default as a stroke. So increase the size of the stroke and you are good to go. So let's say in any case now, you feel like now you want to make black the fill, right? You want to make black the fill and the blue the stroke. You just come to this angle here. You flip, flip. So you see what it does? It changes the orientation of it. Flip, then we have blue as a stroke, we have black as a fill. You can see what you are doing here. There's no point going far. So you see here, I think, let me see the shortcut for, yeah. So the shortcut for doing the flip also is Shift X. If you click on, I'm clicking on Shift and X. It's helping me do the flip. So as it's doing the flip here, it is flipping it here and also here. You can see flip, flip, flip. All right, so that's that. So the next one now is the so this is a solid color, a solid fill. Then this is gradient. Then this is no fill at all. So if I click on this one, it will show me that I want to use gradient. You know we had gradients here, right? Then we can actually get gradient under here too. So if I see my gradient color, I'll just come inside here, double click. If I see this drop down, I'll just click this one and choose RGB. I choose RGB, create my color, come back here. So if I have one I want to sample from, like maybe entirety, I just sample from here, right? So sample from here. No, let me use this and then look outside. Oh, sorry. Okay, yes. So I have sampled. All right. So this is the gradient tool, as straightforward as it is. Then this one now, if you click here and you click this cancelled, that means you want to remove the color entirely. So you see, nothing happened. You don't have anything on it. So that's that. So let me see. Draw normal, draw behind. Okay. This are new um feature in Illustrator, right? So you do shift this to switch mode. So for this one now, to draw, like we have the shape now, let's click on this draw behind. If I click on draw behind now and use another element, anything I draw would go behind this one. Let me give it another shape. Let me make it darker. Let me make it darker. Right. So because I chose this mode, if you put it on, you see it's draw behind. Right. It says Shift D to switch mode. So this one, let's see what this one does. This one is draw normal. The normal drawing is that anything you draw, it's automatically to the front. That is normal drawing in Illustrator. That is the way it used to be. That is the way it used to be in Illustrator. Anything you drop, like if you create something first, then the next item or the next element you are creating will automatically go to the front of the previous one. But with this new update, new feature, you can choose this one. Then when you draw, it goes behind the previous element you have, like this. All right. So we have this. This is not looking like one fine design like this. So okay, 3 messages. Yes, Mr. David, have you seen the attendance? We passed it earlier. Sorry, I'm just seeing the message.
Yes, sir. I've seen it. But sir, I missed the blending option. I missed it.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's just go over the blending option real quick. Let's go over it. So I don't want to lose this my fine gradient. I like it. So let me just create another artboard. I can choose to come to this place, create new artboard, or I can just select artboard option here. I'll just come on create another one here. The size I like. All right. So I've created another artboard down here. So I have this artboard created here now. And what I want to do is the blending option. So we say we have like two ways of blending um, elements in Illustrator. You can go to Object, choose Blend, or you can just come to this place. You see it, Blend to. All right. So to blend this in, I mean, by the illustration, you would see what it is doing. So in fact, let's even copy exactly what it did. Let's just create one this thing here. Let's create a star, a big star, relatively big, then a bigger one. So but then we'll change the colors to it though. So let's change the colors to this one. Oh, sorry. Let's give it this color. This big guy. Let's change it to. You can choose here or anywhere you want to. All right. So want to blend this three. You have to select them. Then you choose the blending mode, blending to rather. So when you choose the blending to, you see that it is just star you have. So when you see plus, click, click. So it's actually telling you the direction of where it is going. So this one basically is coming from left down to the. It's coming from right down to the left. If you don't want to do it like that, you have okay, okay. So I held down. I think I held down Shift to start it from here. Let me see if that is what it was. No. Okay, so maybe you hover over it then. When it decides, it will give you the direction it wants to go. Right. So this is the blend tool. This is one way of doing blending. Right. So let's other way of doing blending. Let me duplicate this one. So the other way of doing blending is I select everything. I go to object, blend, blend option, smooth color. I think yeah, smooth color. I think so. Okay, then I'll go back. I'll go and do make. So you see, it's the same thing, right? They just decided to include an icon for it. So you can blend as much as three, you can blend as much as four elements together, just like we did here. And when you have your elements blended together, you can still go in and change them. So you just choose the direct selection tool. The direct selection tool, no matter how complex your selection is or your elements are, if you choose the direct selection tool, it will go inside and select them directly. So that is what the direct selection tool does. Like it is not by mouth, it goes inside to select them directly. Like it is confident enough. So imagine we change this one. So we go inside the star, change it to let's say the shade of this purple sort of. Then we go in here make sure it is the one selected. Then we change it to a darker tone, right? So if we you want to change the location, we can just drag it with a direct selection to drag it the way you want. So that is the gradient. That is the blending option for you. All right. So I hope we have been able to answer your question. Tomishi, did you get it too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sure
Yes,
you
sir.
got. All right,
Yes, sir. Yes.
boss.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Daniel, thank you for dropping the attendance. I was about to drop it again. Okay, so we have covered that and we spoke about the rest of this one and how complex they are and whatnot. So, so yes, I think this is where we stop, right? Yeah, this is where we stop. So, this next one is screen mode, the mode of this screen, right? So, there's a mode of the screen that you'd use. It is in Photoshop also that would you use some modes that all of this will not be visible. The only thing you'll be seeing is the screen. You use some mode where it is, I think, one part. So let me test it. So if you click on this one, you have normal screen, full screen with menu bar, right? Then full screen mode. So if I click, we are using normal screen. The normal screen would be the one to give you all of these tools you use. But for maybe any reason at all, you just want full screen with menu bar. I don't know if you can see what went. Let me take it back to normal screen. Normal screen is actually here. It gives you with the document name, so you know the document you are working on. But if I click on full screen with menu bar, the document name goes, right? The document name goes, and the other important elements still remain. Document name just goes. If I go to the full screen itself, you don't have anything else aside from the layer you're working on. In fact, if you like, click on this thing, you will not see the layers you are on. You will not even see other options to do anything. So I don't go here. Let me see. Okay. F. Okay, yeah. So I use F to go back to the normal screen mode. Okay, so I remember this grid, this perspective too I was battling with. This one, yes, I have brought it back. So to leave it, just click on escape. To remove it from your artboard, just click on escape. So let me bring it back. This perspective grid 2. So I have it now. It is just like it's stuck here since. To remove it or just remove it from your artboard, just click escape and it is gone. So that's that. All right. So next we go to the right panel. We have covered the. Okay. So before we move on to the right panel, is there any question about the tools on the left panel? So let me go to the question. Okay, so now this is for a question. Now, if you have question on the left panel before we go to the right panel now.
Mr. Don, good afternoon.
That's
I've not been able to get my blending this thing, but maybe with practice, okay. Maybe at the end of the class, I will try to practice over it. So let me know if I can get it.
okay, that would be good. But what issue are you having now?
I'll just select the element, then I will click on it, and it will change, but nothing is coming up. I'm not seeing it's not blending anything naturally. So I've tried to do it over and over again. Still giving me the same results.
Okay. That one sometimes happens because of the speed of your PC. In fact, there are times where myself, when I do some maybe changes or some effects in Photoshop, right? In Illustrator rather, when I do something in Illustrator, they will not go. It will tell me that I've forgotten this thing it says, but it will not just go. I have to close it. Sometimes it will even hang, so I have to just like close it and maybe redo it again or find another easier way to do it. So Illustrator really happen. It happens like that sometimes. So just be
All right,
patient. Yeah,
it's
just be
okay.
patient.
At the end of the day, if I'm not able to do it, maybe on Friday, then I will show you in class.
Yes, that would be good. That would be good.
All right.
Yeah. So any question now? Any question? Sorry, I muted. So your question is, can width tool be used on text same way we use it on pencil tool? So Alajide, let's try. So we want to have text and try and use width tool on it. Okay. So I created another board. So the goal here is to create a text, then try and use the width tool. So I created a text so small, lorem ipsum. Mara Pro, but it's not what I want. I want my font spring. Okay, so we have our text now. We have our text here. So let's try and use the width 2 and see if it will work. No, you see it is cancelled, right? It could not work. So let's turn it to an outline. Create outline, then we ungroup. So now that we have ungroup, they are in isolation, right? So let's use the width 2 and see if it will work. So I remember I told you the width 2 does not really work on solids, that means on fields, but they may work on stroke. So let me change this into stroke. Yep. So the problem is that the width 2 actually works on only stroke. That means on outlines. This is a fill, right? This is fill, this is solid. If we try and do the width 2 on it, it will not work. But let us convert this thing to a stroke. You see, you have those 2 strokes. If I convert it to a stroke, you see that we have, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do it like that. See, we have this, all right? So to answer your question now, from the exercise we just did, you cannot, okay, I think the question now, the answer is like half-half, right? Because you can actually use the width 2 on text, but you can only use it on outline of text. You cannot use it on solids. That means if they are filled like this, you cannot use it on them. You can only just do them when they are lined. So the width now basically is what it's trying to do is just increase the width of this outline and fill, not fill, line, yes, line. Okay, Olajide, did that answer your question? Daniel, obviously, it will be released. It will be released. So don't sweat it. It will be released. All right. So Mr. Solomon is taking notes. It will be released today, and that is that. All right. So I think we've answered our question now. So let's just wipe this one away. Okay. So the next thing we want to go to the right panel, and I think we spoke little about the right panel yesterday. No, no, was it yesterday or Monday? I think it was on Monday. We just touched some from the right panel. So we'll go over it again. So the first one we have our color panel, and included in our color panel is our color guide. Right, our color guide gives us shades, tints, and whatnot. Harmony rules, harmony rules. So this is our color panel. So if you click on your color panel, you may have if you click on your color panel, you may have this option like you just have this 1, 2, 3. You have the Xcode and this one. So to see more information about it, you click down on the hamburger menu and you click Show Options. When you click Show Options, then you have other sliders here to use, right? So that is that about it. Then the color guide is just like it says color guide. It gives you monotones of colors. You can see there are different types of color. Remember complementary color. If you click on, so if maybe you need colors to use, like you need colors you need to match colors. Illustrator sort of gives you color guides, so you can use blue and this brown if you want. If you don't want that, if you want complementary colors too, you can see the colors are complement. But the issue is just that this is not an exhaustive list of everything. There are more. Okay, Illustrator really is not for creating logos alone. No. There was this. There were times that I used to create animated, like cartoon drawings in Illustrator. I don't know if I can. Okay, wait. Let me look for. Just give me some minutes, right? Let me look for one. Let me look for the files I worked on. That I created some. In a minute, please. In a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm still looking for the thing I created with Illustrator. So I want to just show you that it is not only logo you can create with Illustrator, but I cannot find it. I don't even know where I kept it. I don't know. I'm just looking for. I was even hoping I would find it. So I'll open the file. You see how long the elements are inside the file. So wait, just few more minutes. I think I'm able to see. I'll be able to locate where it is. Okay, okay, yes, I have seen the files now. So I have seen them. So let me go back to wait, am I still sharing my illustrator? Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
You can see like a drawing of a head on it.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So see this thing it is like a cartoon this thing I used to do back then. So this one now it is a vector art. See the color shade I use, like I even actually just had different skin tones right here. So let me open the layers and you see what is on the layer. So the way it is now, the way it is like this, let me turn off the visibility because this one was a complex. Let me increase my layers panel. You can see my layers panel, right? You can see how far it goes. So this one, if I turn this one off, let me turn this one off. You see this one I am on now is the layer for the eye. I mean for the line work. This one is for the eye. Let me keep turning everything off so you see how separated. So I had to like create different layers for everything because they were separated. Let me. It is a very very long work. I had to start doing this thing. You may begin. Yeah. Okay. So very good now. So this layer now is the layer that holds the whiteness of the eye and the teeth. You can see, and even the lips, some part of the lip. This is the layer that holds it. If I click on this place, it will show me. It will select the parts I'm talking about. So then this next one, what is on this next? I don't know where it is. So yeah, this next one is. I think this is dark place. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that it is not only you see I did the shading of the skin on different layers, like I did it one after the other on different layers. You can see me removing everything now. You see, right, there's no shading on everything now, right? Let me remove this one too. So this is what I started with, drew the line art. So I used pen tool for this one. I actually imported the person's image. I put the person's image here. I reduced the opacity. I locked that layer. Then I created another layer on top. So I just used the pen tool to trace out the side of the image, the face. Then I started adding colors and the rest. So to answer your question now, with that example, you can create different things in Illustrator, like way too different things. Some people even create flyers in Illustrator, flyers that we do in Photoshop or InDesign. Some people come to Illustrator to do it. That is to show how comfortable they are with Illustrator, how much they are able to work with Illustrator, right? So it is not only logo you create with Illustrator, vector format and everything. So like this artwork I just did now, I think the person printed it. I don't even remember because the long. So I printed it, sent it to him, and okay, I was using it on his profile. Yeah. So let me turn off everything. Let me turn on everything so you. So yes, this is the artwork now. You see, if you look at it carefully, you see different shades. You see shades. So all this wavy line are just like style of it. It's not really. That is not how the human skin is contoured or the shapes are. They are just style to show you dark and light parts, right? So this is one thing again you can create with illustration. And if you a digital artist, you can decide to paint in Illustrator or in Photoshop. The choice depends on you, honestly. All right, so that's that. Is there any question or proceed? Okay, so I presume there's no question. So now, yeah, the next one now is we've talked about this too. So now is the color swatches. We know what the color swatches are from Photoshop, where they are where your the colors you use are registered or preset colors. Then you have brush. Remember the brush we used here. So you have different sizes or different styles of brush. So if I choose brush and choose basic brush, if I draw, this is the kind of brush I get. Just something basic. And it is blue because it is blue. And mind you, brushes are strokes, they are not fill. Brushes are stroke, they are not fill. Alright, so if you draw any brush, it is stroke you get, not fill. So let me go back to brush and choose another brush. Let me choose this one that is like like a grungy stuff. Okay, so yeah, not okay. So the difference is that you have this brush on your Illustrator. So just try and check the difference because when I zoom, it is not showing much difference. So you can increase the size. Okay, yes. So I've increased the size of this brush and this one. So you can see the difference between the two. So this one is a basic brush, no nothing much to it, just straight up. Then the next brush is a charcoal pencil. This one is this one. Then this one is like a pattern. This third one, really don't have a need for it, so I don't use it. This is like a rope. So if you have need for it, like stitches, right? Yeah, it's like stitches. So you have a need for it, you may use it. And there are plenty other brushes out there that people create. Brushes actually aid your work. If maybe there are some designs you want to do and you need to repeat it or something, you can use brush. So there are elements, just like the way there are plenty other resources. There are also resources for brushes too that would aid your workflow. All right. So that's that about brushes. So if you want to, if you've done something, you want to delete it, you can just click it here, delete or backspace. That is to wipe your brushes away. And you can even let me try and do width two to this thing. Since we say width two affects stroke. Yep, it worked. So if you do stroke, if you see stroke, you can just do it now. But why is the width two not working on this one? The way to work on this one, which is a brush and the stroke, right? This is a way to in action here. So now I'm clicking on this one and I'm trying to use the width, it's not working on it. This word here has always been confusing to me because I don't know why it does like that. So I don't use the width to on if I use brush to create a stroke, I don't use width to on it because it will not work for most of the brush tools. So I just leave it as is and I use another thing, mostly pen tool or even my pen tool or pencil tool to create my stroke before I use the width tool on it. And it's mostly pencil tool I use. Yes, it's mostly pencil tool I use. So let me relieve this one's off duty. So we'll go on to the next one. So the next one is a symbol. So let me try and show how symbols work. So we'll create this shape and let's add this symbol. This symbol is like icons, right? In Illustrator, symbols are like icons that the way we need. If you need, I don't know who was designing that needed to. Okay, I think we did our previous project on. I'm trying to remember this project. Our greeting cards, yeah, our greeting card designs that we did, right? So the this thing was that we were actually going outside there to download symbols. Imagine you need search icon, you may have to just go outside to search for it. But if you have it in Illustrator, you can just if you have it in your symbols panel, you can just click and drag. Like you need the home button, you just click and drag it here. You get so it saves you time and you don't have to be stressing. All right, so I think you can even replace them. If you click one, place it there, you can replace it. So now my issue now is that let me see if I can change the color of this. Oh, okay. Oh, so yeah, on that, let's go back. That is about symbol now. So in Illustrator, let me show you one thing that happens in Illustrator. Say we have okay, let's talk about group because it is the grouping that actually brings this thing out sometimes. So let's say we have these two boxes here, right? And we select them both. We select them both, and you can do Control G to group. If you do Control G to group in Illustrator, we group two items. You group two items in Illustrator, you'll be able to move them at once. But in Photoshop, if you group two items together, you'd have to do Control T to be able to move. But in Illustrator, it is different. So I have grouped these two items together. You see, I can move them at once. And if I want to ungroup, I can just go to Object, Ungroup, and you see they are separate. So if there are different ways of grouping. So the first one is I select all, I go to Object, you see G, you see Group, and it is Control G. So you just select Control G, right? So let me check the layers panel if it has. Let me ungroup. So let me see. Nope. Okay, so in Illustrator, there is actually no grouping. There is no grouping in the layers panel. You could just do your Control G straight up without stressing yourself. So let me group this. All right, so I have grouped this one now. So what I'm about to talk about is that some of us, right? Some of us are double clickers in the sense that we click item twice to be sure we have selected them. Like this one now. All you just have to do is just click it once, and when you see this box, you know it has selected. But when I started learning Illustrator too, honestly, if I click this item, I'll click it twice. And the problem there is that if I click it twice, it takes me to another place. And when it takes me to that other place, you see some parts of those places they will be grayed out. Let me illustrate. Let me just ungroup this one now. Change this color. So I'm trying to show you. It takes you like to a ghost town. Let me call it a ghost town. So it takes you to a ghost town where all right. So we have selected this one, right? All of this was on this panel. I mean, you can see all of these colors clearly sharp, right? If I select once, I have selected. But if by mistake I just double click, it will bring me to ghost town. You will see if you look at this thing carefully, right? You see that this other elements now kind of look muted, look faded. Let me go back so we'll see what I'm saying. The way they are now, everything is sharp, right? But if I mistakenly just click one element two times, like 1, 2, I click the two times, it will bring me to this place whereby the only element that is sharp or legible is this one here that I have clicked two times. Then the rest of the elements will be faded, and I cannot even do anything on them. If I select, nothing will happen to them. There's nothing you can do on them. They will not select. The only one that will select is this one. So the similarity between this one and Photoshop is that, remember smart object in Photoshop. Remember that when you double click inside a smart object, it will take you to another document entirely that has that object that you double clicked on. Remember when we're trying to um, change the mock-up of the next factory greeting card we did? You know, we had to click inside of the smart object. Then when it took us to the actual page of that smart object, we made our changes there. Then we closed it, and when we went back to the original page, everything has updated, right? So let's use that knowledge here too. So this is the same thing. This is the same thing as a smart object, but here we do not call it the smart object. We call it the isolation mode. So this is the isolation mode. Think about it like, let's say our element has COVID, has corona. So we are isolating it from every other ones to be able to treat it, right? So that is I think that is a good analogy. Isolation mode, you isolate the element from the other ones to still be able to treat it or give effect to it. So to get the isolation mode, your elements do not even have to be grouped. It can just be one element like this that I just double click. It brings me to isolation mode, and you can see that all of these ones now, I'm trying to select them. You cannot select them because they are not the one with the COVID. They are not the one I want to treat, right? It is this brush here that I want to treat, and it is the only one. If I select all of this artboard, nothing will select. It's just this one here that will select. So this is isolation mode in Illustrator. And remember that in Photoshop, the moment you enter the smart object, you see your document will be titled smart object and you see the number in front. But in Illustrator, you just see the gray panel up here. You see this arrow going back. You see these two layers. You see this Lego. This is just Lego. You see this thing here, and just know you're in the isolation mode, and you see other places grayed out, and the only thing you have is this one, right? So to live here, to escape from this exile that you find yourself, you can just come outside here and double click. Then you come back to this place. And another way to leave this place is, let's go back inside. So when we are back inside here, you have to come to this arrow and click twice. 1, 2. It brings you out of the isolation mode. So anyone you use and the one that is faster for you is what you do. So what the isolation mode is about is just like the smart object. You go into the isolation mode to be able to treat an element in isolation without affecting other elements. So you are quarantining, let me use that word now. You choose to quarantine your element away from other elements so you'll be able to give it the treatment it requires. That is why you go into the isolation mode, right? And to access the isolation mode, you can choose to click twice, then voila, you are here, right? And remember, when we are in the page where everybody is living okay, this one is grouped, right? This one is grouped. I cannot change the colors to this one because if you look at the color panel, if you have two different colors together that are grouped, if you look at the color panel here, you will not see color, you see question mark. That is telling you that you have two different colors on this place. So now if I want to change the color, I have to take this grouped item to isolation mode. So remember, the moment I enter isolation, my isolation mode will actually separate them for me. Then I'll be able to edit them. And if I go back, it will update in my home page. So this one, they are grouped, right? So let's enter the isolation mode. So now by the isolation mode, if I click on them, you see that they are, I do not do on group. You see that I do not do on group, but you see that they're actually ungrouped, right? So I just click on one, change the color to let's say I change it to this one. This one right here. I change the color down to something like this. They are still on group. In fact, let me even scatter them like this. Then I go back. You see that when we came back, you can see that the only thing I'm selecting is this red one. I'm selecting this red one, but it's selecting this one too. So that is because when we came back to the home page, in the original page, they are grouped, but in the isolation mode, they are not grouped, they are single. I have to treat them separately. right? If you have two people with COVID, well, you take them to the quarantine center. You want to treat the same thing, you want to treat them of the same illness, right? But then you not put them together. You see, isolate them. So that is what the isolation mode does. Right. So don't be scared when you double click on an element by mistake and you see that okay, it's only this one that is active, other ones are all grayed out. That means they are fine. Just don't worry about it. You can either double click on this left arrow to go back, or just come to the canvas, just double click and you are outside. So for me, the one I do quickly is just double click on the canvas to go back. All right. So okay, let me save my file because this thing actually crashed the other time. So when your file crashed, when your file crashes rather, and your Illustrator closes, when you open it again, I mean that same day, maybe some hours after, it will actually recover the file for you for the last place you stopped. But you see in front of the document, it will name it as recovered. So you have to resave it and edit it and save it to your actual document because you don't want to send your client a document named Nest Factory logo recovered, right? So you don't want to do that. Okay, so that's about isolation mode and what it entails. The next one now we go to the stroke. Remember what stroke is? Stroke is the outline of any element. So like this brother here. So we have this one and I clicked on stroke. We can see that the stroke is 8. If we reduce it, you see the stroke goes down. All right, so that is what stroke is. The same thing with Photoshop. We have stroke. If you increase the stroke, you can see it. You can see how the stroke is. Let me reduce the opacity. Opacity of everything reduced. All right, so that's that on stroke. So the next one is gradient. Now there's gradients like 3 places. If you have gradient on the left panel, you have gradient under, you have gradient here. That is why sometimes I just remove some of these things because it kind of makes this panel so long that I just feel like okay, what's the importance of having it in 3 places? It is good. It is really good if you are just starting to find your way around, right? So you see it in different places and your mind will be able to register them that okay, I can find it, I can find it here. So when you begin to get comfortable with it, you know that I'll see it here, I'll see it there. Then you can remove it in one place. And I think the only place I can remove it from is this place. This place is always stuck there, and even this one. So I just remove it here, but let's just leave it as is, right? Then the next one is transparency. Transparency again, these are meant to gen. It's just like we've seen in Canva, in Illustrator. So transparency does what you think it does and what you have tried it to do, right? Transparency increase the intensity or decrease the intensity of any element. That is what transparency does. So illustrating, we have this yellow. Because we are clicked on transparency, we have now this one now has transparency in 3 places again. We have it up here, we have it in this panel, we have it in this panel again. So that is transparency for you, right? So let's say we take down this transparency to 38. You see, it's not so visible. So that is the transparency. So let me see what is wrong with your system. I hope your system is good. All right, so that is that about transparency. All right. So the next one we have the appearance panel. So the appearance panel now is another tool on its own, right? You use it to anything. The transparent appearance panel is kind of like this one, but this one is a little bit more detailed than the appearance panel. So for the appearance panel now, we selected this box, right? So as we have selected this box, you see in the field, the field has the same color as this one. Then no stroke, no stroke, no stroke, no stroke. So you are seeing the same thing in 4 places now. You are seeing the same thing in 4 places. You are seeing it here, seeing it here, seeing it here, seeing it here also. So that, like I repeat, like I said, and I would repeat, sometimes you don't have to have all of these things there. It's just like too much load. Some might be distracting, but you may need them if you feel like you are comfortable working with them. right? But if you are not comfortable and you feel they are quite distracting and too much, you can remove them. As far as you know, you find them somewhere else and somewhere close by. So the transparency, the appearance panel now, I can add stroke here. I can choose to add stroke here. I can choose to add stroke here. I can choose to add stroke here or here. So the appearance panel, honestly, I don't know. It's just there. It has some extra functions to it, right? It has some extra functions. You can add the advantage of the appearance panel is that you can add more than one stroke to your element, but in these other places you can add only one stroke. In the appearance panel, you can add more than one. Let's do so. Now we've added this stroke, right? And this stroke is on top of this thing. We'll put it behind. It's behind it. So now let's add another stroke to this one. So this one is for stroke, this one is for fill. Let's add this stroke. So we've added this stroke. Remember we said if you create new element, it automatically goes on top. It goes on top of your previous element. So we just have to drag this one down, increase the size. Let's change the color so we'll be able to see what we are working with. All right. So, all right. So this is one advantage of the appearance panel, really. Right. This is one advantage of it because in the appearance panel, maybe in the case where your project requires you want to make maybe cool effects, cool edits to your project, and you probably need two strokes, so you can do it in an appearance panel. But in this other panel, you can only add one, right? So there's always a twist to everything. So that's about the appearance panel. You can choose to add effect to it. So I'm clicked on the appearance panel. Effects, remember effects from Photoshop now. You have it here also. If I click on it, I have different effects. I have crop, mask, distort, blah blah blah. I have where's that filter by the way? So you have different things. Yeah, like drop shadow. So I want drop shadow. If I want drop shadow in Illustrator, I'll add drop shadow to it. Oh, too much. Okay. So I have drop shadow. Let me do Z. So you see, you can add effect to your element in the appearance panel, but you cannot do it here. You cannot do it here, nor here, right? The only place you can do it is this place, or you can choose to do it in the appearance panel, or you can just select your. Oh, okay, this is actually grouped. Sorry, let me ungroup and borrow this one, please, real quick. Let me just borrow this one real quick. So I said, in the appearance panel, you can do effect to it like drop shadow and the likes, right? And yeah, and you can go to effect, filter. Where is your filter again? You can go to effect, stylize. So you can do the things you want to do from here. The things you want to do from the effect, which is the same thing as effect. You can still get it here and add it to your. So the appearance panel is just like a shortcut to this place. So if you have this one, it works too. All right. So that's something to the appearance panel. So the appearance panel is honestly is really, really large. There are plenty of things you can also do with the appearance panel. You just need practice, more tutorials, be able to extensively get it. So next one we have graphic style. Graphic style is like placing pattern. So I think first thing you just do is draw your shape. Let me draw another. So we want to use a graphic style. So this one, no graphic style. This one is just a stroke. That is a graphic style. This one is just this pattern, right? So we drew this shape first. Let's change it to this one or this one. Just like graphic style, if you want to like do pattern and the rest, you can use this graphic style. Very handy. Then the next one is the layer, right? So we know about layers. Layers are the layers, and what else? Layers are just where your elements are stacked, right? Where your elements are arranged. So now the thing now is that we have we have six artboards here, right? But we have one layer here. You know the choice is yours in Illustrator to have different layers. So in Photoshop, automatically as you are creating them, you're having new layers, new layers. There's nothing you can do about it. You must have new layers. But in Illustrator, you can create everything and everything will be under one layer. So all of these jargons that we've created now, right here now, if you look under this one layer, you see them. See them. I mean, the text that we have, you see the letters because they are duplicated. They are in isolation. You see them. See, everything you create has its own layer. So don't think they don't have layers. They have their own layers, but they are inside. Could be inside one layer. So if you like to, let's say you want to create another layer. If you want to create another layer, you have to lock the previous one. Create new layer, then create something else. So now the problem is that I have created a new element on a new layer, but I don't have an artboard. So I can just suspend this one. I know this one is an another layer. I just come to my artboard. Or matter of fact, let me just oh sorry. Let's put it in the artboard. Alright. So I'm on the artboard now. Then let me just bring this one back to this place. So is there any questions so far? Tomishi, you can go. Okay, he has gone already. All right. Tomishi, you can go. It's understandable. Okay, so any questions so far? Well, we have 15 people left. Where did the rest go?
I think
Wow.
maybe Nigerian factor, no light.
Yeah, honestly, there's no light. Even here, there's no light. So I'm just managing. So yes, understandable. Understandable. All right. So, but at least let's just continue. So if they have the video, then they'll be able to watch it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the video is being recorded. All right. So, all right. So we've created this one. So we'll go to the next one, which is the asset exports. So yeah, the previous versions of Illustrator did not really have asset exports, right? So in Photoshop, I think in Photoshop too, Photoshop has asset exports now to kind of, but in Illustrator now, yeah, this is one of the ways to export your file. I mean, this is even what I even use now. I don't even bother going to file, save as. Let me even see what this save as does. This save as saves PDF, EPS, all this story. I don't even go here at all. So if I want to export a PNG file, that means a picture without background, or even an SVG file, which I can use on my website, I'll just click on the asset. Excuse me. Okay. Oh yeah, I locked this layer. That's why I could not see. I locked this layer. That's why I was trying to select and not see was selecting. So let me unselect them. So my asset exports now. Let's say I want to export this fine this thing that we did, right? I will just click and drag it and drop it inside this place. You see it. It will tell you asset plus one. I'll just drop it here. This is a PNG file, right? And you can change if you want to be a JPEG, you can change it. This is where you export from. So when you drag and drop, you look down here, go to your export setting. If your export setting is closed like this, just open it. So you have this drop down. So when you have this drop down, I usually export my PNG at 4x. That means 4 times resolution, right? So 4x, then if it is PNG, I'll click PNG. And if I want another file type, let's say I want JPEG, SVG, or PDF, and I'll select them. So usually I just use PNG and JPEG 100, right? But mostly if I just click on PNG, I've clicked on PNG. I'm satisfied with this. I'll just click on export. But if I want to export this same file, I want to export it in PNG. I still want to export it in JPEG. I'll just click on add scale. Remember the first one is PNG, right? Then the second one I want to export is at JPEG again. So how many resolution? I just want like 4x. So now this same file now here, I'll export it as PNG. I'll still export it as JPEG. This one will save me time of having to save PNG first, then coming back to save JPEG. So this one again, if I want to export PDF of this same file, I can do it. I want to export SVG of this same file. I'll select everything. After I want everything, so I'll just click on, let me click on export, and okay, there's no, I don't have folder yet. I'll just export. So it's exporting 1 of 4. I finish exporting it, I'll send it to the, okay, that's finished exporting. I'll send it to WhatsApp group so you'll be able to see it. So after you have exported your element, right, you make sure you come back to inside the asset export. You make sure it is selected. I mean, it has these blue lines around it. Then you delete it, so as not to, because if you do not delete it and you bring another thing else, it will still be there. And if you make export, it will have it there. So now let's look at, you have different elements. Like let's say this is our logo now. Let's say this one is our logo, but they are not grouped. You see, they are not grouped, right? But you want to export them, and you want them to appear this way in your export. So you copy them, you copy everything, you make selection around it, and you drag them and drop inside here. So because they are not grouped, when you drag and drop inside here, you see each and every one of them on their own layer, right? In this case now, what you want to do is you come to this plus sign, generate a single asset from the selection. These are the selection inside here. That is where you want to go to. Okay, not this one. So you come to this first one, generate a single asset from the selection. So when you click on it, it will merge all of this one into one and to look like this. So let's click on it. You see, it has merged everything into one, and there is no selection around all of this one. You have just this one left, right? So you click on export if you have selected what you want. So let me cancel. I don't want this one again. I just want to export PNG. I'll just click on export, and you see my Illustrator AI lesson is successfully completed. Right. So that's that about it. If you have more than one element together and you want to just export it. So this is place for exporting your designs. This thing works well. Right. So let me send export to the group. Okay, Tomisin, thank you. All right, Tomisin just shared something in the group now. Thank you very much for this one. You have pretty much covered what I was gathering. Honestly, this is what I was gathering since. Thank you, Tomisin. Yes, this is what I was gathering since looking for the best one, but he has done it and covered for it to catch up. Okay, right. So there's extra resources here. All right, so it's good. Thank you, Tomisin, for the resources. That means before your laptop went off. All right, so let me just quickly send. Let me quickly send this thing that we did here, that we exported. Come on. All right, so you see the export, and the PNG actually coming with background. That is because it is as an image, not Oh, okay. So now we have 12 left. There's no problem. Continue. Okay, so that's that about asset exports, and the next one is the artboard. We've learned about artboard. This is it, and this one we say is for collaboration. That means if you are working with Adobe Creative Cloud, that means your Adobe tools, and you are working across various teams, and you people need to collaborate and work on the same design. You can be using it to leave comments. Like, let's say I'm working on this one, you can just come and say, Mr. Dan or Mr. David or Madam Wenye, you did not do this, so you get it's just comments to be shared. It's just inbuilt feature to ensure that your work is okay. All right, so this is the transform tool. Use the transform tool to do. Remember that reflection tool and the rest. Well, the transform tool is the same thing as this. Well, this one you just be dealing with the numbers. You'll be dealing with the numbers. So if you run away from mathematics and you want to use the transform tool, you may have to deal with numbers. Because if you want to reflect now the angles, let me reflect this 45 degrees. So this is 45 degrees. But if you know you cannot handle mathematics like me, just use your rotation tool and your reflect tool. Just as easy as that. Don't stress yourself about this one. So yeah, the next one now we have the alignment tool, right? We have the alignment tool. Just like you have in Photoshop, you have the alignment tool. So here is the thing now with alignment tool. Let me push this one out. If you select one element on an artboard, if you have one element on an artboard, or matter of fact, if you have 10 on an artboard, right? If you select just one of it and you are clicked on this alignment, Illustrator would assume you want to align this element to the page. So you can align elements to a page, you can align elements to another element, just like we had in our Photoshop, just like we have maybe the header of the text, and we have the body of the text aligned to the side of it, right? So we can have that one too. So if you select one element on an artboard, Illustrator will assume you check down here, you see align to artboard. It will assume you want to align it to the artboard. So we align center, then we align vertical center. So it will place your element in the direct center of the artboard. That is if you select one. So if you have two elements in your artboard, then you click one, you hold shift and click the other. You have selected both now. This thing will automatically change to align to selection. So if you click align vertical, you have aligned it vertical. So that is how this one works. And if you want to give equal spacing, horizontal distribute center, vertical distribute center. Let me do that one now. I have to reduce this one size first. Come in. So I have this third one, right? So I have these three elements with unequal spacing between them. What I want to do is I'll select everything and click on vertical distribute center because they are all in the vertical position. If they were to be in an horizontal position, I'll choose horizontal align. Let me put this here. Let me even put this one here. So I want to correct this and I want them to be in the center and have equal spacing. So first thing I'll just do is this is horizontal. So I'll just do horizontal. Oh, sorry. It goes vertical alignment. Then I'll do horizontal distribute center. Remember, this is horizontal, laying down, vertical, standing up. So do it like this. Then it gives me equal spacing between this element and everything is on the same lane, right? So in the case where I want to align everything to the page now remember that we said if you want to align anything to a page, like if you select element to align it to a page, it has to be one element. Like Illustrator aligns one element it aligns elements to a page. Like if you have just one element and you select it, it assumes that you want to align that element to a page. So now we have three different elements, right? And we want to align everything to a page. So the first thing to do is to turn them into one element. And to do that, we just select all, we'll group, Control G. So when we group them as Control G, they become one. And if you look down here, align to artboard, if you just click like this and you see everything has gone to artboard. So after we've done this one, we feel like, okay, we don't need them as group again. We can just ungroup. Or if we still need them as group, but we want to give them different selection, different effect, we just click them, enter our, remember the ghost down, just go in here, our isolation mode and click OK. Done the effect to it. You just click OK, and for OK with this will come back. Then when you click them, they're actually grouped. All right. So one of the ways also to go to into the isolation mode is you select your element, you right click, and you just click on isolate selected path. The isolate selected path is the same thing as double clicking on it. All right. So that is another way of going to the isolation mode. Okay. So this last one now, the Pathfinder. Yes. So remember the shape builder to where you connect more than one shape together. So this Pathfinder is a Boolean operation, but don't let me use the term. The Pathfinder tool now is we use it to connect shape to, just like this one, right? So in fact, in shape builder tool, you can use it to connect two shapes together. You can even remove some intersecting parts of the shape. We have these two. Let me give them different colors so we see them very, very well. Oh my. Yeah. So we have these two shapes. We have circle. When you select them both, you see the place where they are intersecting. When you click on the shape builder tool, when you see plus, you want to add. So when you use plus like this, you have added them. You see they become one, right? But if you want to minus subtract, you have to hold down Alt. No, is it Alt? Oh, I'm not selected on it. Yes, you have to hold down. You have to make sure you select the shape builder tool. Then you hold down Alt. The moment you hold down Alt, it becomes minus, right? So when you click on minus, you have actually removed the intersection from these two images. So this is also a way of creating a logo too, right? So you can add the shapes together. You can still use that shape builder to remove parts of the images. So now, before we had the shape builder tool, what we used before was the the Pathfinder tool. So the Pathfinder tool, the way you have the shape builder tool is when you want to add in the shape builder tool, you just select the shape builder tool and use the plus sign to select. But if you want to minus, you click on Alt, right? So now in the Pathfinder tool now, we call it Unite. See the Unite, right? So if you place your mouse on the Unite, you see the instruction. Alt click to create a compound shape and add to shape area. So I have this shape. I want to turn it to a compound shape. Compound shape, that is two shapes merged into one compound big shape. So I have these two shapes together. I'll just come to this place. You can see like the icon actually shows you that these two shapes are together. So I hold down Alt. I'll click on it. Oh, no, please select the path. Can I not select it? The filter produced is please select the two paths overlap it. Oh, okay. The problem is this is actually they were grouped. Oh yeah, okay. Yes, they were grouped. Sorry. Let me just duplicate this one for. So I want to group these ones now. Right. So the initial ones were actually grouped. That's why I was saying that. But these ones now, I just had two different shapes. Let me create another one. So we'll use the find that too. So we have these two different shapes and want to merge them together. And when you merge two different shapes together, you make them one. So you cannot possibly have two colors on them unless you change them to gradient after. So what you just do is when you select them both, you come to the Pathfinder, double click, they become one shape and they automatically take color of one. So that is how you use the merge tool. So the next one now is we go to this one, which is the minus front. All right, what does the minus front say? It says minus from alt click to create a compound shape and subtract from shape area. So I just alt click. Am I on it? Oh, right. Okay, let me go back. This is where I want to be. I want to minus the front, right? We cannot see the front here because this color is different. Let me change. So yes, minus front. We want to minus the shape of this from the one behind. So just come here, click it, and what it did is it removed the front. Remember, it was the orange one that was in front, so it removed the front first. So the next one, we'll use the next one. We have the intersect tool from the Pathfinder tool. The intersect, what it does is to remove the one inside here, right? So we just click on it and okay, it will remove the ones outside. Excuse me. You can see from the icon that any part you see white, that means it remains. Any part you see blank, that means it has gone. So this one is intersect. I'll click to create a compound shape and intersect shape area. So click on this place. The place that intersected would be the one left, right? So the opposite of this one is this next two, where you'll be able to remove the parts outside. Oh my god. All
Mr.
right. So
Dan,
the next, yeah,
Mr. Dan, my own option stops at the comment. How do I bring out other tools?
go to
My
Windows.
okay, Windows. Okay.
Go to Windows and look for Pathfinder. Then you click on it. You just click
All
this
right.
arrow. Yeah, you
Okay,
see
I've
Pathfinder.
seen it. Yes,
Yeah, very
thank
good.
you.
You're welcome. Man. All right. So the Pathfinder tool. The next one now is you want to exclude. So you want to exclude the outside. This one is intersect, so it will keep the intersect. This one is exclude. We just click on the exclude, and it excludes what intersects and leave the outside. I mean, you can see from it that this shape is actually the one from here, but the only difference is that we only kept the intersect here and removed the intersect from this one. So the next one now is we want to talk about the divide tool. So click on divide and let's see what it divides. So clicking on the divide will actually divide all of this shape to three. One, two, three, at the places where they intersect. Oh, I still left it. I have to ungroup it. This is what it will do. It will divide all of the shape at the places where they intersect. That is the divide tool, right? So the next one now is why am I squishing? So the next one is this one, which is the trim. So let's see where to trim. I click on trim. What do I have on group first? Okay, yeah. So what the trim does is let's delete it and bring it back. Oh, sorry. All right. So we want to do the trim Pathfinder too. So you have all of this intersecting. What the trim would be to just trim one part. That means one part of the circle will remain whole, while the other part of the circle would go. So if I click on trim, so nothing happens, but you have to ungroup them. So I have ungrouped them, and you see it is this part that remains whole. Meanwhile, this part is trimmed with this one, and it has gone. That is the trim Pathfinder tool. So you see all of the things we are doing with this Pathfinder tool that are here, right? You can do them with the shape builder tool without having to just be clicking here and plenty clicks like that. So you can use them with the Pathfinder tool. I'm sorry, the shape builder tool rather. All right. So real quick now, let me ask now if there are any question. This is time to ask question if there's any question, because after this class we'll have one or two assignments to work on to submit tomorrow, because we didn't have assignment yesterday. So one or two assignments. Any question? Any question? No question? Any question? Okay. So looks like there's no question from here. So in summary, today we have learnt about the toolbar. We learned about the toolbar, what they do and how they function. Then on the right, we also learned about the panels on the right and how we can use them. And we've gone ahead to illustrate each of this function and of these tools themselves. All right. So by tomorrow, we would actually start design a logo tomorrow. Maybe a simple logo. All right, something easy. So I'll drop it in the comment section or maybe what we'll be doing or how we'll generate idea for it. Right. So I think with that, what's the time? What's two? So yeah, with that we've come to the end of the class. All right, we've come to the end of the class. And I'll also drop the assignment in the group. So yeah, be on the lookout for it. All right. So on that note, enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
You too, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, boss. All right. Bye, everyone.